I had that last time.
Oh, you did?
That's here. That's here for the shooting.
Oh, okay.
Here
I
for
didn't
whoever
notice
needs it.
I didn't notice it because of the pile of
No,
onions.
that we're not going to put out in the kitchen for other people to take.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, I brought that. I think I might have brought that with the onions. But it was just a coincidence. They were not paired together.
Not a matched pair.
Yeah, it's a
Fair
convenience thing. Anyway, shall we do this?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, enough of the pre-roll. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 45 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I am Brian Goulet.
I'm Drew Brown.
And we are here from the Goulet Pens to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we are going to talk about metal pens making your fingers smell weird, our favorite underrated products, not pens, but other stuff. How much the photography at Goulet Pens is ours versus what's supplied by the manufacturer. So getting a little bit behind the scenes. Why are you pointing to yourself? Are you taking credit for it? Yeah, the photography of the company.
You said ours.
Ours, yeah.
Like mine.
You're part of it. It's a
I have photography.
It's a collective effort.
Oh boy.
Color suggestions for newbies to branch out from the typical blue and black ink. Which pen problem that we would solve if we could just magically do so. And we got a tip on pen storage. We're going to spotlight the Kaweco Liliput. And we get to fill you in on the nonsense that we have in our non-pen lives. So all that's coming at you today. Let's start it out with some feedback.
Okay, this comes from our old friend David. If you'll remember David, he was the besmircher of the Lamy 2000.
Oh, I've got David written down in a journal of mine. I'm just kidding. I don't really. You're cool, David. You're cool.
No, David originally mentioned how maybe the Lamy 2000 is overrated. We discussed that.
It's not for everybody.
But here's what David has to say coming back. And he says, okay, as the originator of this question and the one-time vocal critic of the Lamy 2000, I have an admission. I have just bought another one.
Whoa.
David.
Is David swinging the pendulum the other way now?
He said it's a fine nib and it's currently loaded with Pelican 4001 chocolate brown in Drew's honor. Brilliant brown?
Wow.
Brian?
Is that brilliant brown?
I felt 4001,
chocolate
right?
Brown? Yeah. Is chocolate brown different color? I think that's brilliant brown. Maybe it's called chocolate brown. I don't know.
Either way.
He spelled honor Honour. So I'm thinking maybe he's in the European genre.
Oh, so maybe it's
geography?
not called Brilliant Brown.
I don't know. I'm curious now.
Oh,
I'm curious.
You would probably like chocolate. You probably
more.
appreciate chocolate brown more than Brilliant Brown.
I mean, I do like chocolate.
In your opinion, brown cannot be brilliant, which you've gone on record.
I think
as saying.
chocolate can be brilliant. I'll
All
tell
right,
you that
enough.
much.
But I love that comment. So enjoy your 2000, David, and
That's
thank
awesome.
you for sharing that with us. We also learned through our super intelligent YouTube comment section, who your collective intelligence far surpasses mine or Brian's. We talked about, Brian mentioned how there is wet water last time. What would you talk about?
That was my random fact.
It was the fire hose, right?
Yeah.
So everybody was like, yeah, that's a thing. And in fact, it's used in multiple applications. And one person mentioned that farmers use it so that water doesn't pool up in droplets on plant leaves. It covers it more evenly because surfactant is used to make water wetter because it actually breaks down surface tension within the water itself. It's actually a reaction that happens to break down surface tension. So it just becomes more juicy. I guess.
Juicy?
I don't know. So and that really makes a lot of sense.
It would make it less viscous, I think.
Yeah, or just I think it's a surface tension thing. It just doesn't hold itself together as much.
Our surface tension and viscosity, I know they're not the exact
they're not the same thing, but they're probably related.
But they're related, right?
Yeah.
There's something there. Oh boy, Drew and I are like walking right up to the edge of the cliff of what we know.
Someone also mentioned that like there's a experiment you can do where you can lay a really, really light object on water and have it sit there via surface tension, like a paper clip or something super light, and then you add soap to that water, mix it up, do the same thing, and it falls right down.
Huh.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and doing the experiment where you have like a hand soap or something like that, and you have it it's like floating on the surface. No, wait, sorry. You have pepper. You take pepper, like flake pepper, and it floats on top. And then if you take your finger and put soap on it and you stick it down, it will like spread out and make like these holes in the pepper won't sink down. It'll stay on the top, but it'll like repel because of the
That's
soap.
so cool.
I don't know that that's the same thing that we're talking about.
No, it's different, but it's still cool. Still fun experiments to try at home.
Lots of fun
and
stuff.
I'd be willing, and we both know that there is surfactant in our pen flush, our Goulet pen flush, to make it flow through your pen kneader. And I'd be willing to bet that any pen ink with a lubricated aspect, that's probably surfactant.
100%. That's what you're dealing with.
Look at that.
I don't know if it's the same. I mean, yes, surfactant. There's a lot of different surfactants. It's basically soap.
Right. It might not be Dawn, but it is something that causes a breakdown of the surface tension, allowing for a greater flow. Or just wetter ink.
Yeah, I think glycol, is that the thing that that's like some people, like I've seen in pen forums and stuff like that, some people buy like pure glycol and actually put that in their ink to help with ink flow. I've never really experimented with that. I hope it's glycol. I hope I'm saying that right.
I don't know. Either way, I thought that was really fascinating, and another great reason to peruse our YouTube comment section. If that's not something you do, there's always so much great discourse and information there. So
Drew and I will randomly bring topics up, not know what we're talking about, and be like, maybe somebody in the comments can clarify what we're talking about.
Yes, we rely on all of you heavily. So you came through on that one. Thank you once again. And then finally, a lot of comments, Brian, about how you were talking about how your son Joseph puts Legos on every vertical surface in the house. Obviously,
did I say vertical?
Obviously, you meant horizontal, but we got a lot of comments.
No,
about
I meant vertical.
saying,
He's really into Legos.
That's what I said. I was like, maybe Brian's son defies physics. You don't know. But just a PSA: if at this point you haven't adapted to the frequent saying of opposite things that we intend by both Brian and I, you're going to be in for a time because this is going to happen every episode at least 6,000 times.
I'm in particular notorious for that. Like if you watch some of the early videos, I mix up cartridge and converter all the time, and I would catch it in the edit, and so I would be like, well, it's too late now, and I would just see a lower third be like, well, I really meant this.
Yeah.
So
I do the same thing all the time. So enjoy that. You can still comment about it and tell us no and let us know, but it's not gonna stop.
Just keeping you on your toes.
Yeah.
We're just trolling for comments. That's all
That's
it is.
it.
We just want people to comment, to engage more. No, not really. Okay, we got some other feedback. Got some people. Thank you for all the birthday well wishes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Welcome to 38.
It was a long time coming, but here I am. I'm now joining Drew in his aged wisdom of being 38. It's pretty whatever. Feels about the same as it did before, but Puneet says, happy birthday, Brian. Wishing you smooth running lawnmowers, powerful sledgehammers, toothy reciprocating saws, and strong snatch blocks. Puneet, I used every single one of these tools on my birthday.
Did you really?
I literally did.
What?
Yeah,
Even
I did.
the snatch blocks?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I took some trees down and I was using snatch blocks. I was cutting up stumps and lawn mowing. Yep, I did all that literally. So that I was very, very satisfied when I saw that.
Happy
comment.
birthday.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Nichabod79 says, hate to say it, but having strong opinions about toothbrushes and bringing in onions to work is peak almost 40, Brian. Happy almost birthday.
You've arrived.
I have apparently arrived.
Do you remember you complaining about the toothbrush last episode? About the tongue scraper thingy?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You didn't like it.
I don't like it. I'm remembering it right now, and it's making me mad. Oh, my gosh. Though I can say I'm drinking coffee right now, which I don't always do during this pencast. Drew's like super good about that. I usually need coffee, but I don't like have it together to actually get coffee before we do this thing. And I'm thinking like I could probably use a little tongue scraping right now because I got a little bit of that stuff on the tongue, So like maybe I shouldn't be so hard on the toothbrush. But I could also just use the bristles, and that would get the same job done. Anyway,
see, look at this.
I'm getting back into it, man. It's getting me riled up. Anyway, Cheryl also says, in addition to all the lovely pen and ink details in today's pencast, I enjoyed the Goulet Gourmet segments, tacos, cowtails, let the onion be, Drew. And last but not least, have your pickle. Only you guys could discuss all these subjects and end on wetter water and have it all make sense. Thanks for another entertaining pencast. Well,
there are a lot of things.
I'm glad it makes sense to you, Cheryl.
A lot of things were said there.
If you take some of what we say out of context, you're like, what in the world is
let the onion be?
Let the onion be.
Take the pickle.
We literally keep a list of quotes of things that various people say around our office. We've been doing this for years. And taken out of context, there's some absolutely hilarious
There is.
things in there. We won't get into it now because I can tell we're already going long. And then Katie says, Brian, I briefly picked up a Urushi pen at a pen show last year and my fingers itched like crazy for several days. You're not alone. No visible rash, but it was uncomfortable. I'm allergic to half of nature, though, so I'm not surprised that I've got the 1 in 1,000 anti-Urushi gene. Well, sorry to hear that, Katie, but the fact that it only stayed on your fingers and didn't go all over the rest of your body means I win the allergic Urushi contest. Not that it's a contest, but I am in solidarity with you because that kind of stinks, but there you go. It's a thing. Urushi allergy is a thing, though not a thing for very many people, thank goodness.
Someone also mentioned in the comments that Audrey Madison over at Franklin Christoph, their Nibmeister, she has the same sensitivity.
Same thing?
Yep.
Well,
allegedly. That's just what someone in the comments said.
There you go. Okay. I mean, a lot of people are sensitive to like poison ivy and stuff like that, and it's the same active ingredient, but allergic to the degree where touching a finished pen and having a breakout from it is pretty uncommon from what I see, but I don't know. All right, that's what we got for feedback this week. Now, moving on to new stuff. Right, so new stuff. First thing I've got is a new Visconti Il Magnifico.
Those are pretty pens.
If you like extremely heavy, very cool and rather ornate pens, these ones are pretty awesome.
You know what I'd like? I'd like one literally made of stone.
You know what, Drew? You can get that. This is the 5th one they've made of actual marble. Yeah, it's pretty rad, and it's super heavy. And if you post it, it's like unusably heavy.
It's for extra challenge. If you want an extra challenge to your writing, that's what you do.
Yeah, but it is pretty darn rad. So gorgeous pen. The craftsmanship's amazing. So this one is Verzino green, made with Verzino di Fabrosa marble, which is an Italian marble, and sterling silver. Cap and trim and all that kind of stuff. That's part of why the cap's so heavy, because it's like basically solid silver. So also why it's in the upper price range, pushing over $2,000 on this one.
It's less than $10,000.
It is, and more than $2,000, but gorgeous pen. I mean, just gorgeous. You do not see a pen made of marble every day.
No.
I think
faceted marble too. Like I imagine it'd be easier to make this barrel round, right?
I don't think it's easy to make any pen out of marble.
That's right.
I have no idea.
And you have to hollow it out to create enough space for their piston mechanism.
Yeah, because there's stuff in there. It's the power filler.
I bet. Do you think they have a pretty high breakage rate on these?
I would have to imagine. That's probably part of the cost. You're dealing with a natural material. You got to drill through it.
You don't know where the little fissures are.
Yeah, there's going to be imperfections and stuff like that. The reject rate's got to be very high. Mm-hmm. So not only is it hard to make a pen like this, but you're probably going to have a high reject rate. And that marble can't be cheap. Granted, it's a relatively small amount of it.
Did you say granite?
Did I say granite? Gosh.
No, it's a marble joke.
I actually don't know. Oh, did I say granite?
Granted.
Oh, that's what I said.
I was trying to be funny.
No, I thought I said granite instead of marble.
No, because marble and
we just talked about us saying the wrong things.
No. I just thought it'd be a joke.
Okay, that is funny, but I didn't get it. Anyway, very cool pen. Go check it out if you're interested. It's new to us. And then we just talked about the Diplomat E-Locks last week, and we were like, yeah, we'll get the blue one at some point. Well, we got it like 2 days later. So we have it now. You can go check it out on our website. So it's basically the same black anodized aluminum pen with blue rings instead of orange.
Do you know what someone told me in the comments, Brian? Last week's episode?
What did they tell you, Drew?
Some anodization facts.
Ooh.
So remember how we were talking about how this pen might have been made? We suspected that maybe there was
speculated.
We speculated that maybe there was some masking involved.
Okay.
This person claims that would not be necessary because you can only anodize something once. So what this person said confidently, and I tend to believe them. I don't know.
Okay.
Just heard it in the text that you would be anodizing the whole thing black.
Okay.
And then carving out
and
some
then engraving
chunks.
the rings.
Carving.
Yeah,
engraving the rings.
Whatever, yeah.
And then so that it's just raw aluminum.
You're exposing the raw aluminum
and then
again.
anodizing the whole thing blue or orange.
But only the color would stick inside the newly revealed metal.
Because anodization is done at like a chemical bonding level.
Yeah.
And you can't anodize over anodization.
Yeah, okay.
Allegedly. So I don't know. That
because it's not like layers of paint that are like adhering to themselves.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe that's how they do it.
That whole
A
process.
quick Google could solve this for us, but
I've tried to look at it before. It's pretty complicated.
Yeah?
Yeah. Anodization is complicated. I've talked to people that have done anodization. They say calculus is involved. And I'm
God.
like, nope. Okay, I'm done.
no, not for me.
No, thank you. Anyway, we have the Elox Blue now. It looks pretty rad.
It does.
I think it looks better than orange because
It's not.
blue.
Orange is better.
They both look really good, honestly.
They do
It's hard to say. So anyway, if you're interested in that, if you like the arrow and you wanted something that's not the arrow but close to it and has some blue, go check out the Elox Blue. That's what I got. How about you, Drew?
Well, last week we launched another Monteverde tool pen, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love that pen.
because the tool pen isn't already audacious and unnecessary enough,
I don't think it's audacious.
look at it.
There's a word to describe it that I can't.
Outrageous.
place. I don't know about outrageous.
It was in my top 10 most outrageous pens list.
Okay, I guess.
All right.
I guess.
Either way, now it's available in full-on rainbow.
Perfunctory? Is that a word? Why is that popping in my head?
I don't know.
I don't know
It
what that
shouldn't.
means.
Get your
You keep
perfunctory out of here.
talking. I need to know what this word is.
Anyway, the tool pen is available in a new color and it is all rainbow. So it is every bit as noticeable as you would like for it to be. And it is every bit as useful as you used to think it is. If you used to think that this thing was for you or a friend, then it still is exactly that. If you used to think it was completely unnecessary and useless.
Just tried
it is-
so hard not to just hate on this pen.
Well, here's the thing. I
It's
can't.
just not his jam.
I can't hate the pen because it's like we were talking earlier about how some food is good, but we don't like it. Like that's what this
or music.
this is like
you're like this musical artist. I see why people like them,
Right.
but I don't.
right. Or if this food, like you can eat like a really nice meal, like this is good, but I don't like it. You know. This it's kind of like this. I cannot argue with the success of the tool pen. The tool pen is a good pen because people love it. They're happy with it.
What food is that for you?
What food
What food do you wish that you could like? Because it would just like make things easier. Like it would just be easier.
guacamole and avocado?
You don't like guacamole?
No, I hate it.
I used to not like it.
I hate it.
Okay.
And I will try it regularly too. And I'm like, no, it's still disgusting. It's slimy and
It is
just
kind of
gross.
slimy. I'll give you that.
And but it's so good for you. I wish
really
I could
good.
enjoy it on toast and stuff. I feel like I'm missing out on something because I hate it so much.
Your life probably would be easier as a millennial too.
I know.
To not like
I'm
avocado.
gonna have my millennial.
That's
They
kinda
already
rough.
took away my nerd card for not knowing about 42, and I'm gonna get my millennial card taken away. What am I left with?
You know, the first time that I'm a bad millennial too. The first time that I ever ate avocado toast, which I feel like is just like the icon for millennial hipsterhood, right? The first time I ever ate it is when I went to visit Lamy back in 2018 at their place up in Soho. So I was in Soho and went to this like just sickeningly trendy,
You're literally gagging.
sickeningly trendy lunch place where like avocado toast was their main feature. And I was like, I feel like I have to do this.
Do you have peanut butter?
And then I had it and I was like, this is actually pretty good. Like I did not hate it. It was
sure
it was
it's
pretty
good.
good.
I just
it was like
can't deal it.
$12 and I was like, this is ridiculous. But it was New York. So go
But the tool pen is an objectively good pen. It's successful. People like it. They are, often said like, this is exactly what I needed, or this is exactly what my father-in-law needed. It's not my jam, but
it's just such a obscure pen.
It's
in the
the
world.
Fast and Furious of pens. You're gonna you see the
what?
okay. You see the trailer.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like that's a dig. I feel like because I know how you feel about the tool pen.
Okay.
And I know how you feel about Fast and Furious as a franchise.
If you see it, you're gonna instantly know if it's for you or not. That's it. That's it. If you see the trailer for Fast and Furious, you're gonna be like, absolutely or no. And that's the tool pen. There's no gray area. You're gonna know immediately that yes or no. There's no like, ooh, maybe a tool pen. No. You know.
It's pretty
know.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah. So I appreciate that about the tool pen.
All right.
Also, pilot cartridges, Brian. We don't often get to say there are new pilot cartridges
They're
available.
often not worth saying much about.
In fact, I don't know if we've ever had a new pilot cartridge since I started with the company.
We have not seen a release of new pilot cartridges. We have not carried them and then carried them. So we've talked about them because we've carried them.
Okay, you
whereas
know what
previously
I mean.
we hadn't, but there hasn't been like,
Anyway,
there's a new one in the world.
and yes, there's a new, and they're pilot / Namiki cartridges. So they're the ones that you would see, the same shape anyway that you would see come packaged with pilot pens. Except now there are 3 new colors: orange, pink, and light blue.
Okay.
And all three of them look really nice.
Yeah.
I had to swab them, Brian.
Yeah.
So
You got to swab them.
well, here's the thing.
That's the
I say
positive way to say that.
I say had because you've swabbed cartridges before. It's not fun.
You got to want it. You got to really want it.
You have to
You got to puncture it and then syringe it out of there.
Right, but
and
then
drip it onto the Q-tip.
Yep. But then the first one, I syringed it out of there, but then I couldn't get the rest. I was using disposable pipettes, and then I'm like, I can't reach the stuff at the bottom, so I need to dump it, but I couldn't dump because it was only one exit. So you know how liquid does; it just sticks in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me kind of puncture the back of it, and as soon as I did that, all the liquid just went boosh.
Wow.
Out. I know.
That's one of those things you do, and immediately you're like,
you do
yep.
once.
You're like, yep, that was dumb.
That was physics.
I did that.
Physics did what it was supposed to do.
Yep.
So
mission accomplished.
yeah. Either way, I got it done. They're very pretty, and they're surprisingly saturated too.
Okay.
So I like them a lot.
Very cool.
Especially the orange. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was more vibrant than I expected. I was
Okay.
expecting it to be kind of weak, but
Interesting.
not weak. So anyway, pilot cartridges available. Something new, something interesting, and yeah. Also, we talked a while ago about the term nib chameleon, meaning if you're a nib chameleon, you don't care what nib size. You're all about the pen, and
Your
you can
taste can change and,
adapt. You can change your colors to fit the nib, the writing experience. And we were like, that's a great term. We should make a sticker out of that. And I said we would make a sticker out of it, and it never happened, did it? It's happening. It's on the way. Rachel ordered some the other day, so they're coming. I'll let you know when they're here, but I just wanted to remind you about the nib chameleon. I do not want you to forget about the chameleon because the sticker looks rad.
It looks really cool.
It looks really cool. So you'll see it maybe next week. Stay tuned.
There you go. Okay. Good deal. I was going to say my food, going back to the food thing.
Oh, yeah. What is your food?
Horseradish.
You wish you could like horseradish?
If I liked horseradish, there's so many sandwiches and stuff that I could just order easier. I would like, was it cocktail sauce and, that kind of stuff. Horseradish to me, it dominates my mouth. If there's any horseradish, I can't even scrape it off the sandwich. Like it has to never touch the sandwich.
Really?
Yeah, because if I taste that horseradish,
even cocktail sauce, that totally
all
dominates.
I hate it. Yep.
Wow,
it's disgusting.
Yeah,
it just a lot of people love it.
What about horsey sauce from the Arby's?
No,
because that's really weak.
No,
really, okay.
Nothing. Not even a trace.
Oh man,
if anybody handling the food even looks at or thinks about horseradish, ruins my meal.
Is that why you were acting weird toward me the other day?
You were thinking about horseradish, weren't you?
I was.
That's what did it.
I didn't tell you, but oh my God, that explains so much.
There you go. And you know what to do to troll me now. Is you got to think about horseradish and let me look at you. All right. That's it for new stuff. I don't know how we get on all these topics, but we are in a very tangential mood today, which leads us well into our next segment, the Q&A.
Okay. This first question comes to us from Ashley, who is in the lab.
She is in the lab. I see that.
And Ashley in the lab asks, do metal pens like the Liliput, the Kaweco Liliput, leave a smell on your hands?
Leave a smell. And this is one
like
of those
a
things
a metallic smell.
A metallic smell. I think about like smelly pens, obviously, like Noodler's pens come up as the primary one. And we definitely have gotten feedback about that smell lingering on hands. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. That's like my baseline for smell of pen on hands.
Okay, there we go. We have our
those aren't metal though.
Our constant.
Yeah, those aren't metal. I am known in this Pencast to work with tools and things in metals.
You've mentioned it once or twice?
Yes. So I can say definitively, you can definitely smell metal on your hands after you've been handling, especially like raw metals. So I would say if you're dealing with a metal pen, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to leave a smell on your hands. Not all metals have strong smells. Not all metals are raw. Like some of them are coated and things like that. If it's coated, like if it's an anodized aluminum or something like that, you're not actually touching the metal itself. You're touching the coating. Even a lot of nibs, they can be plated and stuff like that. So I guess they're usually plated in a precious metal. So you are touching the metal, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, precious metals I don't think really have any smell to them. When I think of metals that I know that smell, I think of copper. I think of brass. I guess like any of the metals that would patina, anything with like an iron content would probably be more, like it's going to oxidize and stuff like that.
There's
Those
reaction
are the ones,
happening.
Yeah, there's something happening there. So anything that would patina or that your hand oils would react to, I would think those would be the ones that would be most likely to have a smell.
Yeah, raw aluminum, probably not so much.
I mean,
it does eventually.
It can, but I've never personally noticed a smell.
No,
of
but like
aluminum, especially on my hands.
Like raw brass and copper, those will just start patinaing.
Patinizing or patinating, I think is the patinate or patinize. I cannot remember which one is the correct one.
Someone will tell us. I see them thinking already.
Yes, they are. They are. Just don't think about horseradish.
That'll happen within days.
It'll happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like if you're using a pen, I mean, I think about, okay, have I used a lot of raw metal pens, especially for like an extensive period of time? I feel like copper pens, but I got to get like up in my, like I got to like really,
up in the nose.
It's not like I'm writing with a metal pen and then I'm just like smelling it just as I'm going about my day. The times where I've done that, I've like intentionally had the pen like near my face.
Yeah.
Maybe to smell it, or maybe I'm just like, I'm a fidgeter and I gesticulate with my hands a lot when I talk, as anyone who's ever watched me in any video has seen. I talk a lot with my hands. So I'm constantly moving my hands around, putting things near my face. So I definitely smell metal pens, but really I think copper is pretty much the only one I would even give it a second thought.
Yeah, I have used a copper pen before and put it down and like just had my hand like up to my face, like even around here. And I'm like, oh yeah, it smells like,
oh, it smells like pennies.
Pennies, yeah, which I hate.
Which is actually not copper, really.
No.
Pennies are like 99% zinc.
Yeah.
There's like not much copper.
Yeah.
But still.
But they definitely, especially old pennies, definitely have that smell.
They do.
I have a lot of old pennies, and
so I would say like
it's not pleasant.
This to me strikes into that like some people are more sensitive to certain things. Some people have metal allergies. Like that is actually something more to consider. I've heard of a few people, and this is not a lot, but a few people who are fountain pen people that have a nickel allergy or something like that, where they're dealing with like chrome plating or stainless steel or some kind of alloy that might have nickel or some other metal in it, and they're like, they need to know what the trim of a given pen is, because if it has whatever nickel or whatever component in it, they can't hold those pens. They'll have an allergic reaction. I'm like, oh, dang, that is something to consider, So I think there's something around that probably that maybe, I don't know if smell would be a concern if you have like some kind of allergy or sensitivity to it. Again, not super common, but maybe that's the only thing. But, short of like the pens that I know that are like, think of like the Kaweco pens that have been like raw brass or, things like that. I know we've carried several brands over the years that have been basically solid metal. Think of the Traveler's pen, things like that I know are solid metal. Those might be the only ones to consider. I wouldn't worry about it, certainly with any trim, because I don't think that that's an issue.
No.
But I don't know that I've ever heard anybody say like, any commentary at all about a metal smell on their hands. But I
there's the Supra is brass.
There's a brass one, the Fire Blue, that's made of steel, but it's fired, so I don't know if that
probably
I haven't really noticed, and I don't know if there's a coating.
I don't even know if we have a copper pen currently.
A solid copper pen?
I don't think we do.
I'd have to look on the website. We have carried them like here and there over the years.
We have, but at this point,
they're tough to make.
Yeah.
So I know we've carried like Tactile Turn back in the day.
Do we have a copper Lilliput?
We do have a copper Lilliput.
Yeah,
we do.
That popped in there.
And we're talking about that. We have the Copper Touch, which is a limited edition pen.
There's no copper there, though.
Stipula.
That's all in resin.
Oh, you're right. We used to carry a copper Conklin Durograph. Remember, it was like raw copper. We had a brass one, and we had another metal one, titanium. Do you remember those?
Oh,
this is like years ago.
I think they might have been Enduras.
They might have been, or Duragraphs.
Or they were Nighthawks?
I can't remember. I think they might have been Nighthawks.
I think they were.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're going back years here.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
so yes, we've handled metal pens over the years, but I've never like had anybody say anything about
copper
them.
Can have a smell, pretty much.
Yeah, it's the only one I'd really give it a second thought.
Yeah, I agree.
But don't let it deter you. If you think it's cool and you really like the pens, copper is also antibiotic as well. So it is pretty helpful.
Not antibiotic.
Oh, that's right. I said that wrong.
Antimicrobial.
Antimicrobial.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It won't cure your whatever diseases.
Don't try it.
No. But it's more sanitary version of a pen, I guess.
That's what I hear.
Brass is to a degree.
Yeah, I've also heard that anyway, I don't know. I've heard mixed things about like
that it's like overhyped
yeah,
or whatever.
Or maybe it was just in terms of COVID. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm not qualified to speak on it. Regardless,
Yeah, we're jumping off the cliff of things we don't know what we're talking about quickly. So we're gonna move on to the next question, which is from ABCRE8S. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that in any way, but mad props for coming up with a Brian unpronounceable name. And this one's very simple. Just favorite underrated product.
I like this one because we've talked about underrated inks and we've talked about underrated pens.
We have.
So that leaves kind of
they didn't say specifically like don't talk about those things.
Right.
But you thought it would be fun to take it.
Because we have had those, you know,
we covered that a little bit.
Covered it, and we made, you know, we cut out that section of the Pencast and made its own standard video. So we definitely don't need to get into that again. But yeah, there definitely are some other products that don't fall into the pen or ink category. Paper, we're totally ignoring though. So sorry, paper.
Underrated paper is tough. That's really tough. There's no like universal consensus on most paper.
We don't need to get into paper.
Okay.
But yes,
accessories.
So I definitely think there are some. My favorite underrated accessory is actually a pen, but
you just said we weren't going to do pens, Drew.
I know, but this is different, Brian.
Lying? Are you a lying liar who lies?
I use it as an accessory. So for me, a glass pen is not primarily used for writing. I've never sat down
it's called
and
a pen.
It is, but for me, it is a tool for ink testing. So if you need to decide whether or not the ink sample that you got is actually worthy of being inked up in a pen, a great way to actually get it to paper without having it run through a feed and have to clean the feed, because you know how I feel about cleaning. Avoid at all costs.
Life is so hard.
I don't want to do it if I don't have to do
Let's
it, Brian.
all collectively just cry for Drew.
Anyway, you dip a glass pen.
It's so tough to be surrounded by these great pens all the time that you're just forced to ink up and
that
use
mute button right there
all day long at your job, and you get paid to play with all these pens. It's tough. I think we all feel for Drew right now. Let's just we're here. You're seeing, Drew.
Anyway,
you're seeing right now.
Anyway, oh my God, this man. Glass pens are great for ink swatching, testing. If you have a little book or like a color ring, they're great to doodle in that. Yeah. After you ink up your pen, what I like to do is I'll ink up my pen with a new ink. I will take my glass pen, write the name of it in my color ring, and then take a cotton swab and swab it. So, I will use my pen usually. But sometimes I don't use that ink, and I'm using it for other purposes. I'm testing a swab for work, and I don't have it in a pen. I'll still put it in my color ring. Either way, glass pen is great for just playing with inks, trying shimmering ink, stuff you don't want to run through your feed, but you still want it to look cool. Yeah. You know, not necessarily for long writing sessions, or I'm not going to write a journal with a glass pen.
Or if you want to do weird tests on it, like for water resistance and stuff like that. Yeah. Smear testing, stuff. Yeah. That's really
so to me,
handy.
That's a utility. I use it as a utility product. Okay. Now, if that one's not allowed though, I would like to.
Yeah, I feel like you should pick a non-pen thing. Like, yes, I see what you're saying.
All right,
but it's still kind of a pen.
It's not a fountain pen.
That's true. That's true.
But let me tell you, I would like to say the desk blotter, because I think they're cool.
That's legit. That's a very legit pick.
But I don't like it.
What?
I can never get them to work.
So you're part of this underrated, like you're
if someone can get,
you're underrating it.
I don't know, because
what are you calling it right now? You're saying it's a great product, but you don't like it?
I always get excited when I forget about it. I'm like, ooh, desk blotter, those are cool. I'm going to use that.
Okay.
And I use it and it just smears my ink. It just like smushes it.
I think you're doing it wrong if that's the case.
How am I supposed to do it?
I don't know, in a way that doesn't smear it.
Help me to not make it underrated and not just something I'm bad at. I think that I use it when my ink is too wet.
It depends on the ink. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me just do this so I can flip the page. And then I do it and it just squishes it. It makes it all feathery and smushy. Okay.
I will say, if you're using, are you talking about the Urban blotter?
Yeah.
With like the pink paper that comes on it? It's not like the most absorbent blotter paper that I've ever seen.
Well, we need to carry better stuff.
So, well, I mean, come on now. I think that yes, if you have a ton of ink on there, you can end up like pressing the ink and like spreading it out.
Which I'm
and stuff
usually
like that,
using
or
Tome Away, and
smoothing.
it's not drying fast enough.
Oh,
and-
well, okay. Well, yeah, there you go.
But that's when you need it most.
It is. Yeah. So you like the concept of it. It's
I
just
do.
It's not.
And I would love to just have it on my desk. Like, look at my desk blotter, my
Okay.
wooden desk blotter.
I feel like
with
that's
this-
a pretty classic, like,
yeah.
desk,
I think so.
thing to have.
So I wanna love it.
Look,
I wanna love it
I'm a
more.
writing person.
But maybe
you know.
you'll have better success. So I'll include that, and then my utilitarian glass
Okay.
pen that's not a pen.
So I'll say I actually end up using blotting paper more in a notebook. I use it as almost like a bookmark of sorts. So I'll keep that in my notebook, and then when I close the notebook, I'm not actually moving the paper or anything. I'm just like, closing it pretty gently, and then it just absorbs all the extra ink. So in that case, that's less of the desk blotter. That's more of just blotting paper.
And it doesn't smear for you?
Not really. I mean, I'm not like going ham on it like
You're
you
not,
are,
like,
apparently.
Really slamming it?
No, I try to be kind of cognizant of
Okay.
it, but I haven't, I
See, I usually try to do it when I'm writing letters and I want to fold it and go.
Okay,
And I don't have
I can
time to
see
let
that.
it sit out and dry. So I'm like,
can
let
see
me blot
that.
this so I can fold it.
can see that.
Because I don't want it to fold. I don't want to create a Rorschach test when I fold it.
I get you. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Drew.
All right.
You got problems.
Okay.
So yeah, for me, I had a tough time. I was thinking like,
Ooh, you've got a good one here.
yeah, you like them? You
I
which
see one I wanna
I
hear you
listed
talk
several things. Is it the second bullet point that I have? Okay.
That's a good one.
So I think that a lot of accessories are underrated, caveat, until people use them. And then those people that use them, it becomes adequately rated. Like most accessories in the fountain pen world are things that seem kind of weird when you are just new to fountain pens or have nothing to do with fountain pens. You're like, why in the world do you need a ear and ulcer syringe, like bulb syringe
The
thing?
boogie sucker.
The boogie sucker, like you
Yeah.
get at the hospital when you have a kid. Like, why do you need that thing? And then as soon as you use it, you're like, this is the greatest tool ever for fountain pens. So like there's a lot of accessories I think fall into that camp. Silicone grease, I think that micro mesh and stuff like that. Like once you know what it's for and you know how to use it, you're like, oh, this is really cool. A loop could be the same thing. You're like, oh, this is a very specific thing. I get it now. So I think if you call underrated that, so I didn't really know if any of those qualified, but I think the one that very clearly qualifies, which is what Drew's getting excited about, is sealing wax. So
Love sealing wax.
when I first got into fountain pens, I did quite a few sealing wax videos.
You did?
Very early on. They are some of my worst videos. Cinematographically, how do you say that?
Cinematically.
Cinematically, they are some of the worst shot, worst lit, worst cut. I didn't know anything about audio. Shooting like a face shot straight up the nose.
Well, this was in the
Just
days of like you were
terrible.
using a
I had
camcorder.
No idea. I had no
like-
idea what I was doing.
No, it's
but
fine.
I proved the concept. I was so excited about sealing
Yeah.
wax, and it's very therapeutic too. I just like it's very ceremonial. I feel like the act of doing a seal in sealing wax, a true seal, is very, very cool. And there's like a couple different types
Love
of
it.
wax out there. You can do it with like the spoon and like the traditional hard wax. That I don't like as much because I've been mailed letters where you have the traditional hard wax, and what you get is a bunch of crushed up powder.
And then a stain where the wax
yes,
used to be.
Exactly. And you're like, wow, this is basically a waste of time. And now I have a huge mess on my desk.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort, but what you need is flexible sealing wax because that's what will make it through the modern mail sorting machines. Originally, not sure if you knew this, but sealing wax was created as basically a security seal. So as your letter was transported from whoever, everybody would have their own unique seal, which, I mean, I guess you could totally forge, but whatever. I guess that's what they had at the time. You would seal it, and then if it was broken in transit, you would know that you had a careless person on your hands, and you could not trust them.
Yeah, they had those signet rings. They would like have the wax tablets, and they just like
Like slam it right in there.
punch them.
There you go.
Yes, you just punch your signature into something.
It's pretty cool.
Those were the days.
Why don't we do that anymore? I'm sure you can still get them. Somebody's making them. Somebody's making rings.
Oh
like
no, you
that,
can get
for
signet
sure.
rings from that Back to Zero
Back to
site.
Zero?
I
Yeah.
bought some
There you
stuff
go.
from there.
Okay.
Yeah. You can
So
get
they
them.
do it, yeah.
I don't feel. I feel like I'm reaching a little bit wearing a
I don't know.
signet ring.
If you don't know what 42 is, I don't think you feel like you've earned the legitimacy to, I don't know. Maybe have some avocado toast, watch the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and maybe you can redeem yourself. But no, sealing wax is pretty cool. Not super practical. Not most fountain pen users are not using it for actual like letter correspondence. So what we found is we were like so excited about it, and then we're like, oh, this is like one step even more obscure than fountain pen stuff. We've carried it ever since the beginning, though. I mean,
it was really popular around like 2014, I think. There was a little bit of a boom.
Started to boom, and then everybody was like, yeah, we're over this. Yeah. And then it just died again. But
it was quick.
We've still carried it, and we've still got some products. And actually, the Herbon wax is pretty good. It's pretty user-friendly. So
that's been a mainstay.
So I think that sealing wax, it's surprisingly fun and rewarding to use it. And it classes up your letters like freaking nothing else. It's pretty awesome. If your handwriting's not great, but you put a wax seal on it, it like immediately steps up your game.
Instant fancy.
Yeah, exactly. Like having a giant belt buckle on your, it's like, it's just
or a bolo tie with a scorpion inside of it.
Ooh, now we're talking. Put both of those together in an all denim suit. Now we're talking.
Yes, sir.
Now we're talking.
Yes, sir.
The bandana, maybe, as well. I don't know where that would go. No, the bolo tie would cover the neck region.
Yeah, all you need is the scorpion bolo tie.
That would do it. Yeah. That would do it. Drew speaking from personal experience here, by the way.
I mean, I do have a bolo tie.
You still have that thing, don't you?
I do. 2 eagles on that bad boy.
So awesome. Wow. All right, let's get on to the next one then.
All right, our friend Caitlin asks, product photography. How much is you and how much is from the manufacturer? You know this, Brian.
Well, none of it is me or Drew.
No, it's these 2 guys out there.
Yeah, Glenn and Alex. They're our current photographers. We have a lot of images from our previous photographers as well. So we've had several over the years. But basically, we have been doing our own photography to a pretty large degree since 2010.
It was Brian at one point.
I tried my best.
You did all of it
to do it.
I did all of it
for a bit. It was a much different time, smaller company at that time, many fewer products than we carry now. But basically, we in the early days, we're talking like 2010, there were literally some products where nothing was provided. So we were like, we either put up a generic like image coming soon thing or what. I mean, we had no other option. It was like we have no photography of this product, so we either try to take something that's better than nothing, or we have no product to show. So that's where I stepped in. I was like, well, I don't know much about photography, but I will learn enough to represent it better than nothing.
And you did.
And we did. And then very quickly I realized, okay, there's a lot of people who know more about this than I do.
And you also kind of in true like fountain pen nerd form went down a photography rabbit hole a bit.
I did, yeah. I think
like you got pretty into it.
It is a pretty cool. It's like if you're into like technical like stuff.
Well, even the opposite way. Like you can go down the photography rabbit hole in the more analog format too. There's a lot of fountain pen fans that have found that to
do like dark rooms and film and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, buying film. Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, I didn't go that route, but probably just because I don't have access to a dark room. There's definitely more of a barrier to entry into.
Well, you can still buy old film and still get it sent away to have it processed.
You can, but it's super expensive.
It is not. But we sell fountain pens, Brian. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
We know this hobby. There are many tangential hobbies that are not light on the purse.
I have too much instant gratification needs. Like just the convenience of digital makes a lot of sense.
It's true.
But I totally get it though. I see the payoff there. But we're not talking about film photography. We're talking about digital because that's what we do here. So yeah, I went down that hole. I got into macro photography too, which is pretty cool. And I did some like stacked like HDR stuff, some stacked macro stuff. It was pretty cool. And I was like, okay, this takes more time than I have growing a business, young family. This is cool, but I gotta
doing it right anyway.
I can't do this. I can't get into this. But I super appreciate it. I think in some alternate timeline, I probably could have been a product photographer because I genuinely love the work and it kind of clicks and I kind of get it. But it's like any other craft. It takes a lot of time to really do it well. And I just knew that I would never have that time. Have you ever had stuff like that where you're just like, I know I would love doing this, but I'm never going to be as good as I would like to be because I don't have the time.
I'm never as good as I'd like to be at anything, even if I do have the time.
Oh, true.
No, that's fine.
That's so sad.
That's fine. I'm so bad at video games. You'd think I'd be a master at this point. I'm terrible. Terrible. Every time Brian gets together with our photographers and they're like, yeah, I really think we might need another light or something like that. Brian's like, oh, really? What kind? What do you want me to do some research? Like,
I literally go out of my way and be like, hey, did you guys see that new lens that came
Yeah.
out? Do you need it for any reason?
Right.
Can you think of any justification for why you would need this lens?
Right.
And they're like, no, Brian, I
even though
think
he's
we're okay.
not-
I'm like, dang it.
Right. Even
Okay.
though he's not like actively taking product photography, he's still a bit of a
gear junkie. Well, I'm a gear junkie.
A gas, right? Gear acquisition syndrome.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
a thing?
yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely that.
I think Hey Matthew taught me that one.
I'm very gassy.
Yeah.
Yeah. In many areas. Tools, pens, Rubik's Cubes, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously I got the ball rolling on that, but then once we got like dedicated photography, what we found is that there were a couple of major benefits to doing our own photography. For one is consistency. So, I mean, we have 5,000 or so different, SKUs, different products and variants and stuff on our site, which is a lot of different products.
That's a lot of different pictures.
So even if you have good quality pictures that are coming from different manufacturers, we have maybe 60 different manufacturers or so that we're buying from. They're going to look very different. Just the angles, the coloration, the backgrounds,
yeah.
all that stuff. It's going to look very disjointed,
like
sort
a
of
quilt.
like, yeah, or if like you go into like an antique store and it's just like there's just random stuff on every shelf and you're like, okay, I can look around. It's eclectic, it's interesting, but it's kind of a chore to shop in this store if I know exactly what I'm looking for. I can't really find it. Where when we do our own photography, we can be very consistent and make it just a very pleasant browsing experience. So that's one side of it. And we can also focus a lot on like color accuracy, which is a major thing in the digital world. And another big thing is just representing the things that we know are important to fountain pen users. Because, especially if you have a manufacturer, they're selling globally, they're gonna photograph things in, the most generic way possible that would appeal to all types, people who are collecting or buying as gifts or whatever. Well, they may not show like the guts of a pen as it's blown apart. They may not show a close-up of a nib or threads or the pen posted versus not. There are specific things that we know just from years and years and years of talking to pen people, using them ourselves, where it's like, wow, if we can take a picture of the pen in a certain way in its use, that we know will help give people an answer to the question that they have while they're browsing our site. And that means they're going to find better answers. We're going to be a better resource. They're not going to have to email and ask somebody and wait on a reply. They're just going to get the answer that they're looking for. So we have developed our own methodology of photographing with shot lists and things like that so that we can represent them in the way that we know people are shopping for them. So,
and if we do want to do something with a different interesting background, it's one of the secondary or tertiary images, not the one right there in front, so that
exactly,
when you're shopping, you get a nice clean spread, everything looking very uniform. But then there are some additional fun images, later down, the carousel of images.
Yeah. Plus, given that we produce so much content as well and we're active on social media, we can then do our own photography while we're going ahead and doing more of, what you would consider the stock photography. We can then go and do additional, more like fun photography for social media and other places where we would we might get some of that from manufacturers, but we can mix different things together. We can show pens that would never be paired together. We can pull out old limited editions. We can do all kinds of interesting things for the sake of creating content that we just couldn't ask a manufacturer to supply to us. So to us, it just seemed like kind of a no-brainer as wanting to be very content focused and being very like hands-on, kind of experiential in our store kind of presentation and the way that we produce content on social media. It just made sense for us to really kind of commit, go all in, and just have full-time photographers because we have two.
Yeah. And sometimes we do get images that we can use. Sometimes we use them at the beginning and then we kind of like later on we'll do our own shots just so that we can have something ongoing. Like this is, good enough for now. And then sometimes, we get them and either because the actual product wasn't the same as the distributor thought or something changed, we get it in, we're ready to go, and then, oh crap, this doesn't look right. Stop the presses. Poor Glenn and Alex, they are so flexible and versatile when we say, hey, stop what you're doing. This is launching today. We need pictures.
Yeah.
They're like, okay,
We literally have like steps in our process that are, we have the pictures, okay, they're up on the site, receive the pen, inspect the pen, check the website. If it doesn't look similar enough, we have to delay the launch and we have to rephotograph and get it up there because we know that at the time that somebody like puts that order in and puts their money in, we want it to be accurately represented. We can't do anything when we get an image, a month ahead of when we actually see the pen, which happens all the time. A lot of times we get stock photography and it's like, hey, this pen is coming out, get it up on your sites, get people excited about it. Okay, cool, we'll get that up there. But then we actually get the pen in and we're like, oh, okay, this is slightly different. Or most people wouldn't care, but we have very particular, people who are looking at the thing and it's like, okay, this is different enough where we want to make sure that we just tweak this thing. So we'll rephotograph it.
Another thing that I'm really proud of us doing, Glenn and Alex doing, when an ink has an interesting property to it that may not show up well on a scan, they'll actually photograph the actual square, the image, the swatch that you see on our swab shop and things like that. They'll photograph it at a particular angle so that we can convey,
bring out the sheen,
the shimmer, the sheen.
Yeah.
So we'll do different things just so that we can accurately represent this product. It's super important to us, and luckily we've got a team that
it's tough.
Is able to put in the work to get it done.
Getting things color accurate. It's not just like, just take a picture at the same angle and whatever. It's like, no, it's a lot more complicated than actually. So it's very intentional, but we're happy to do it.
Yeah, and you can trust the site as a result of this.
Usually, every monitor is different though. That is a huge caveat when it comes to color accuracy. We can do everything we can to make it color accurate, but it's digital, so it's bits and bytes going over the internet. And when it comes out of your monitor, we can't do anything about that. All right. Next question we have is from Totally Real Human something. I don't know, it got cut off. But
I'm not suspicious at all.
Diversifying from royal blue and black inks for an ink beginner. Okay, good question. I think super common for people starting out with pens. They're used to blue and black because that's what most ballpoint pens and various stuff come in, and they don't realize that there are other colors out there. It's like this whole new experience.
Hundreds and hundreds. Well, the easy answer, I think Brian and I will both agree, is brown. So
it's so
there you go.
Different from blue and black. Go with another dark color. To Drew's credit, he just used a bunch of yellow inks, so I can't knock him too hard. He intentionally left his comfort zone.
I did, and I was delighted.
Brown is a good color though. I like
so,
I like the way you're going with that. Like, don't go off the rails and get like hot pink or something, because that's like, then you're gonna be like, okay, I don't like this, I should not venture anymore. Right. Go with something that's like just like one step further.
That's where I approach this. So I would maybe like a natural or dark brown. There's lots of good ones out there. I also chose to kind of put rails on my recommendations, so I'm not making recommendations across the 700, 800 inks that we carry. I'm just gonna do Robert Oster today for some reason. I don't think I talk about Robert Oster enough. So anyway,
good brand.
I'm just going to narrow my focus down a little bit. So Robert Oster Cafe Crema is a great brown with just a hint of shading. It's light enough to give you some shading, but dark enough to feel rich and beautiful.
I haven't used that one before.
I've only used it once, but that's been on my radar. Someone recommended it to me in the YouTube comments about, I think it might have been when we were talking about browns or something like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that one. That was good. I remember that. So it's on my list. I still have all the yellow inks. I need to go ahead and switch them out. I'm done with them now. I'm over it. All right, let me give you some real colors.
Yeah.
So Cafe Crema is one you might want to check out. Also, I think that from black and blue, I like to step into purples and greens. I think those are really fun colors. Yeah. And like I said earlier,
it's a good next step over. And especially if you start darker. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Start with something darker. Robert Oster Violet Clouds isn't a super dark ink. If you want super dark, you go with like Private Reserve Ebony Purple or something, or Ebony Green. Even both those are like pretty much black, green, black, purple. But Robert Oster Violet Clouds is a lighter color, but it's really unique in that it really does have a cloudy look to it. And I've recently fallen in love with that one. And then also Thunderstorm or Thunder Clouds or something like that. They're kind of like cousins, Robert Oster. Both of them look really good. I would recommend you check out both of them. And then Robert Oster Citrus has been a recent favorite of mine as well. So that is a lighter green, but like my next suggestion will be, it gives you a new factor. And my next suggestion would be to try a light blue. If you're already doing doing blue, venturing into light blue, as well as the Robert Oster Citrus I mentioned, is going to introduce you to a really cool feature reaction. What is shading? A feature,
attribute,
characteristic. Shading. That is when ink pools at the end of a stroke leaving a dark part of your stroke and a lighter part of your stroke. And that creates this really, really great effect. And pretty much any light blue ink is going to give that to you. So if you're already using blue, just knock it down a few shades and then you'll get that really cool shading feature that a lot of people really seek out and love. Some people are like, no, it's not saturated. That's not a feature. That's lame.
There are some people that are like that. They're like, I don't want to see any variation in my ink color whatsoever.
Right, and some people think that's a failure of their ink, and that's fine. There are plenty of other ink that don't do that.
Yeah.
But some people really like it, and it's at least worth figuring out if you're one of those people or not. Because if you are, there you go. You've got a new factor in your fountain pen adventure that you might really enjoy.
Well said. Well said. I like that. I think this is where like sample sets are a really good idea.
Oh, yeah.
So we sell ink samples, if you weren't aware of that. And we sell sets of ink samples. There are some that are like work appropriate ink colors. Those are going to be some of the darker like purples and greens and browns and stuff that you mentioned, because that's usually a pretty safe route to go. I think, you know, having ink that you can use that branches out a little bit, that's still not going to be like offensive to people's eyes when they read what you're writing.
Yeah.
If it's in your own journal or whatever, who cares? Do whatever you want. But if it's like, no, you're gonna like sign papers and other people are gonna read
those
things.
Like milky gel pens from 2001.
Yeah, you know, people might notice that or whatever, and you don't want to like make it hard for people to read your writing and stuff like that. So that's where the work appropriate inks really come in handy. I have my own sample set, which are all inks that I like. That are generally, I think, are pretty good. I'm pretty biased, but really, I think if you just filter through our ink page and go by popularity. There's a reason why a lot of the inks are the most popular ones they are. So really, if you just start with those and you kind of scroll down that list and you look at which colors are to your liking, you're probably going to have a pretty decent experience with a lot of those. So rather than listing off like 40 colors, I'll just say those are some good approaches. I think going with like a turquoise or a teal is a good way to go. Kind of like you mentioned with the light blue, gets a lot of shading.
Yeah.
But you can venture a little bit with the color. And there's so many good colors in that range. That I think
say something about Diamond Marine.
Diamond Marine is fantastic.
I know you like that one.
That's in my set.
I'm so surprised you actually were able to come up with a best of Brian set.
Yeah,
How long did that take you?
I was able to do it fairly quickly.
I guess
think.
8. It's 8, right?
Yeah, it's 8 colors.
That's a good amount, yeah.
I mean, I could probably swap most of them out with something else that I feel is pretty comparable. But over the years, if it's an ink that every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, I really want to use that one. And Diamond Marine is one of those. Robert Oster Blue Water Ice, I talk about that one a lot. That's another good. That's a great blue.
That's like your new. That's like your new blue.
It's just it's so easy to clean.
Like I think early Brian,
solid performer.
Early Brian was really into Noodler's Blue, and then like other Brian turned
Noodler's
into
Blue
like
is great too.
But then you moved into Liberties a little bit. But like I think
Liberties is great.
I think current Brian's a Blue Water Ice man.
You know what it is? A lot of it has to do with maintenance. Like
that has been your go-to.
Deeper, more saturated colors. You know, they're harder to clean out of the pen when you leave them for months at a time.
That's a factor.
I do all the time.
That's a huge factor.
Yeah,
that's an absolute factor.
Yeah, but you know what? I have all these inks. They ain't going anywhere. I can use them up.
That's right.
Let them sit as long as I want. But yeah, it's fun. I think we got some good ranges there. And then we got this email in, I think like earlier today or something. We kind of threw it in here because it was so appropriate. Christy says, I just bought a Sailor Pro Gear Slim Momo for my upcoming wedding. Do you have any ink recommendations? Congratulations for signing important legal documents. We are in Ontario, Canada, so it has to be blue or black. So I thought this was interesting because we literally got a question about, hey, what are exciting inks that aren't blue or black? And somebody else was like, no, it actually has to be blue or black. What do I get? So I think here, I mean, we could have some kind of boring answers, right? Like, because it's like, choose most anything. I don't even know if legal documents today, do they even have to be like permanent or anything? I feel like everything gets digitized.
Probably. It depends on, I guess if you're keeping the document and you're trying to store it somewhere, maybe. But if it's going to an official office or government, then they're going to worry about that.
I don't know how it works with something like a marriage license. I definitely don't know how it works in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember like ours. I feel like we got the one that we signed and maybe I legitimately don't remember.
Yeah.
But
if it does, well, we can give options. So like, what would you say if it does have to be permanent? What would you be your go-to?
I think it's not a bad idea to have it permanent. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to try to like, it's not like it's a check and somebody's trying to like wash it and do it. No one's going to try to like, no, actually, I married your spouse. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, most any ink is probably going to be just fine because you're not going to be like bleaching it or
hope not.
leaving it out in the rain or anything like that.
Let's hope not.
But if you're just like, look, I'm not signing these types of documents every day. I intentionally want to get something. Or if it's like ceremonious and you like, I want to say that this is the bottle of ink that we use to sign this document. That probably is actually more meaningful, practical, whatever. I think you could go a couple different routes. You could go the more like traditional permanent ink route, which is like an iron gall type of a situation. So like a diamond registrar's blue black.
We don't sell that anymore.
We don't really?
No. I was going to include it in the I was going to include it in the waterproof battle, and I put it on I put it in my bracket and everything, and I went to get it. I'm like, oh my god, it's not here.
Are they still making it? Is it just like falling out of favor?
I don't know. I didn't even know we dropped it.
This is news to me.
No, me too. I just learned that last week before I did the video.
It's so tough because we don't like greatly advertise everything we drop because usually it's not that popular. No one cares.
That's why it drops because it stops it because it falls down in popularity.
Sometimes it gets discontinued and sometimes Okay, interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, there are other iron gall ones. Rower and Cleaner Salix. That's a good one. That's a nice, dark blue. And again, these are not like super iron gall, like I will eat your pen iron gall, but they're acidic and you got to be conscious about that. The Platinum Classic series, that's also iron gall. Those are pretty permanent as well. And then I think you go like the pigmented route. Like if you wanted to go either the Sailor or Platinum pigmented ones, my choice, darn permanent.
My choice would be Sailor Kiwaguro.
Okay,
I love that ink so much, and I love it not just because it's permanent, but I tried to find like a very matte black ink, like on one of the earlier pen casts.
Okay,
and that was when I really fell in love with Kiwaguro. Like it was very flat looking. Yeah, like none of the blacks are like particularly glossy, but that one specifically just looked really like flat blacks. That'd be my pick. I love that black.
Platinum Carbon Black is pretty good.
Platinum Carbon Black is great.
And the pigmented inks I feel like perform really well on a variety of papers. Like I don't know what kind of paper you're generally going to get on a legal document like that.
Not great.
Yeah, probably nothing too special, but so that you could go that route. I mean, the Diatramentis document series of inks also seems pretty good. Noodler's has a ton of anything bulletproof. Basically if you filter water resistant inks on our site and go with blues or blacks, pretty much any of those will give you a very suitable choice for a legal document. I would say Noodler's Black, Heart of Darkness, X Feather, those are all going to be up there as, solid performing permanent black inks at least. And then you wrote Diamine Oxford Blue. Is
that's one that I've been. It's not permanent, but it's just a dark blue that I've recently rediscovered. It's a staple. They've had it for a long time, but it's consistently popular, and it's one of those kind of like. I think it's kind of it's riding a wave of popularity.
Really?
And I mean, as far as just what I've been noticing, it seems like it's getting more and more popular. It's been well known for a while. It's not like it's a dark horse or anything, but
we've had it for a decade.
But it's just one of those things where it's just it's been popular for so long because it's just a good ink and a lot of people really like it. So
nice.
It's just one that's been on my radar recently.
Yeah, and you could also do the same thing. Go to our site, sort by popularity, click on blues and blacks. You can filter all that stuff. You're going to have a lot of great options there. So there you go. All right, Drew.
All right, next one is from Amy, and Amy asks if you could, I think it's just a typo, if you could solve one problem with fountain pens forever, which problem would you solve?
It's a good question. Because fountain pens are so perfect. There's just like nothing to solve.
They're not at all.
I mean, like,
they're definitely not perfect.
I would want more of them.
They're not perfect.
Some cool limited editions get discontinued. I'd like to be able to go back and get them.
Come on. A fountain pen that cleans itself, maybe.
A self-cleaning fountain pen would be pretty rad. Yeah. Actually, that was kind of my...
You'd be so irresponsible with self-cleaning. You'd be inking up everything left and right. Oh my God. Off the rails.
Yeah. I mean, that actually was the bullet point that I wrote down here was, just the cleaning and maintenance of it. Mainly like the drying out portion of it. Like I don't mind
while it's inked up.
I don't mind cleaning out my pen, but, and I do this to myself. This is literally just me complaining about my own habits. But the deep clean that I have to do when the ink has crustified inside the pen because I've neglected it
with your
so badly. Perhaps with a toothbrush. Certainly could do that. But when Barney and his friends are hanging out with his other crustaceans in my pen, and actually the crustaceans like on the nib, those are easy to clean off.
Right.
but it's more like deep inside the pen. And then it's like you're flushing and flushing and flushing and flushing and flushing. And I'm like, friggin' come on already. That's really annoying. And certain colors are worse than others. And it's all the colors that Rachel loves. All these magentas and all these things like that.
Magentas stain so much too. What is it with the magentas and staining?
She puts them in her Twisbees.
Oh,
and
Rachel.
they stay there for so long. I love her, but she does not really clean her pens very much. So I clean most of them.
Well, y'all are perfect for each other then.
We are good for you. We are, like sometimes when you're with someone, you have things that are like very complimentary and it just works really well. And you have other things where like both of you have a blind spot. Yeah, pen maintenance is kind of the blind spot for both of us.
Oh, my wife and I have plenty of the similar blind spots. It's amazing we're still alive.
Yeah. So I don't mind the ritual of cleaning the pens, but I wish, I don't know, I guess if we're dreaming here, I'd be like, well, it'd be cool not to really ever have to clean them. Then you could just like use up the ink and then magically it's clean. You can just fill it with new ink.
What if they were all like, basically nothing stuck to them really? Kind of
if they all clean, all they needed was just like a gentle flushing. Yeah. If everything cleaned with just a gentle flush.
Yeah.
Because I do kind of like the ritual of cleaning a pen. You got a few pens that are inky.
But if you could just rinse and go.
Yeah, rinse and go. That's what I would prefer. So not really a problem. It's more just like, okay, it's physics. I get it. I could make this better for myself and I don't. And so it becomes this perpetuating kind of a thing where it's like, I really don't want to clean out my pen. So I let it sit longer. It gets worse. You can just keep that smug look on your face because you are so much.
I get it.
You're so much better about this than
I'm not. I'm only better because I limit myself.
I know.
That's why I have to only keep 3 pens.
I give you credit for that. I give you a hard time about it, obviously. But I have a lot of respect for how you manage your pens.
I have to. It gets
aspirational.
It gets terrifying and overwhelming if I don't. I ranked my top 3, Amy. So my number one thing that I would solve would be ink spritz. Dusting of ink into the cap.
Oh yeah, you don't like that, huh?
That's why I can't. That's why I don't like carry my pens everywhere I go. Is because I cannot stand it when I get that of ink into the cap.
What bothers you about that?
Because I have to clean it out. And a lot of the pens, I can see it up in there. If it's a demonstrator, it drives me nuts.
Okay.
And if I'm jumping or like, we've talked about this before. I do not descend stairs one step at a time. There's hopping and leaping involved.
I often witness you bounding as your method of transport.
Well,
you're a bounder.
Yeah, it's efficient.
Drew's kind of like a gazelle. He'll just like kind of leap
more
from
like
place to place.
Drunken kangaroo. Yeah. But with missing a toe that like is imperative for balance. I
don't know how to visualize.
Yeah, good luck.
A missing toed drunken kangaroo.
But anyway,
but it's accurate.
I don't like.
I feel like it's accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. I identify with that. I don't like the ink spritz. I wish that didn't happen. And the next one would be misalignment. I don't have a lot of my pens that just all of a sudden become misaligned. But I am a fan of extra fines, ultra extra fines, needle points, whatever. Those, if they are even a hair misaligned, you can tell because they have to be.
There's no room for error.
But when they're aligned, Brian, when you have an ultra extra fine nib that is perfectly aligned, oh my gosh, it's the best writing experience for me. Yeah. But and after writing with it for over time, one might get just a little off, and then. It's even with a loop, I'm like, it looks aligned. Why isn't this aligned? So I wish that just didn't happen. I wish that just wasn't a thing. It was like set it and forget it nibs. Once it's tuned perfectly, it stays tuned forever. I would love that.
That's a good one.
And then finally I would say drying out. Like that'd be nice to just not have to worry about drying out. But number one would be the ink spritz. I just
drying out like in use, like the pen just never.
Yeah, like while you have it inked up, I don't want anything to evaporate.
Just like starts every time. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I want the water to, I guess, remain inert. Would that be the right word? Like, I don't want the water, any of the liquid to evaporate. I want it to just always stay wet. But the ink spritz is my number one. Like, I can figure out a way around nib misalignment. That's not that pervasive, but I would love to just carry a pen in my pocket everywhere I go.
Yeah.
But if I'm like flopping around on the ground with the dog or the kid, ink spritz is going to happen, and I wish it did not because
you must just flop around more than I do.
I do.
I have ink spritz, but it doesn't really bother me as much. I don't know if it's.
I like a perfectly clean pen.
Okay. I don't care as much, obviously, because I don't clean my pens that often. Okay, cool. How about when you get like the ink spirts inside the cap and then it kind of gets on your grip and then you get it on your fingers and
absolutely.
all that? Yeah.
And then I have some pens that like the nib always gets ink on like one part of the nib, like left shoulder. I'm like, why? It drives me nuts. I want
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And like you clean the cap and you're like, where is this ink coming from? Where's this phantom ink coming from?
It's seeping out, trying to make barnacles.
Yeah, I guess so. Is it coming out from like on the underside, like on the feet? Like what is up with that?
Yeah, I've heard that if nibs have really, really tiny, scratches in them, either from manufacturing or something, it can create like a pathway for the ink to kind of
like it's like capillary action through a scratch on the underside of the nib.
Yeah, it can also happen. It can also happen through the how you sometimes you get nib creep right in the slit.
Yeah,
same thing there. If the cut was made in the tines. If there was some chatter or something during the cut and the line isn't completely smooth and it's got like lines, like, what I'm talking about, like when you make a cut and there's lines in the cut, it's not a totally smooth cut.
Yeah.
Those lines can bring ink up onto the top of the nib.
Fascinating.
Make it creepy.
You know what's crazy is like when they cut the slit for those tines, it's obviously the slit is very thin. Very thin.
Yeah, it's like they're cutting it with paper or something.
Yeah, I think it is actually paper. It's some kind of paper. It's like a mylar type paper, like it's some kind of plastic maybe.
Oh my!
But it's like it's almost like microns.
It's not
thick.
metal.
No, it's not metal. It's not metal. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It spins at something like 30,000 RPM or something like that. Like it's super fast spinning, but it's like some kind of plastic or paper, some kind of like material that you would not think would be able to cut like precious metal.
I've seen a YouTube video.
It spins at such a high revolution that just the friction of it can cut through those nibs.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube video where someone put a piece of paper in like a table saw or something like that, and he was able to cut through some stuff.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So nuts. Anyway, very cool.
Everything's dangerous at a certain speed.
Good questions. All right. That's what we got for Q&A this week. And now we have yet another tip of the week. And today is going to be Drew.
Okay, this is a very simple one, Brian, and one that a lot of folks might already know, but it actually came from Adrian, our customer care manager.
Okay.
It's something that gets asked a lot, is how should I store my pens? Nib up, nib down, or on the side?
30-degree angle.
There you go. Yeah, who knows?
Rotating throughout the day.
Yeah, like a mechanical watch.
Mechanical watch.
There we go.
Yeah, you just get one of those.
You just rotate.
That's right.
Really, it's up to you. Though, if you do have a pen that tends to be more wet and not starting off for you every time, not a bad idea to store it nib down so that you pull some of that ink toward the feed and it's more ready to go for you. On the opposite side of things, if you've got a pen that is very, very wet and trying to like just put down a little bit too much.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm it down by putting it nib up. Because sometimes if you leave a pen sitting for a little while, that first burst of ink that you get, because that feed's just been sitting there kind of soaking up.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's like nice and just like raring to go.
Right, but then it stops and you're like, oh, now it's wimpy and sad. So you can leave those nib up and let the
wimpy and sad.
Yeah. You can let the milk toasty ink, let the ink go down back into the reservoir, wherever that may be.
Yeah.
But, or like me and Brian, we just leave our pens laying on their side, and that's just kind of,
I find that to be like a good all around.
Yeah,
compromise.
it's kind of like neither extreme. You just lay it on the side. It's not super dry on the nib. It's not super wet.
Yeah,
and it's a good option for storage. It you can put in your desk drawer and stuff like that. But if you did want to solve a wet or dry problem, up or down could be the right thing for you.
There you go. Yeah. So it's funny because like this is one of those endless debates that you'll see about on pen forums and stuff like that. And I feel like no matter which answer that you give, you're wrong, because like you're going to get argued against of like, no, that is absolutely the wrong way to do it. I legitimately can't remember like what is the way that most people recommend. I want to say it's nib down.
Yeah, nib down makes sense I think
it's nib down with a lot of vintage pens especially.
Yeah, if you've got a pen that's well balanced and everything is working as it should be, nib down keeps it primed, nothing should be dripping, and you should be ready to go. However, not every pen is like that. Some pens don't do well nib down.
And if it's like a pen you have on your desk, it's a little logistically more challenging to store your pen nib down, because it's like, if say you have a pen holder Well, you can't fit the clip and all that other mess in there. Like, unless you just have a gigantic pen holder or like a pen cup or something.
Yeah,
But
it's a little
just,
more logistically
to me, it's just
challenging.
less practical to store a pen nib down.
So on the side is fine.
Yeah, my pens that I keep in my like actual pen cabinet, they're all on their sides. That's the most practical way to store it. But then I have plenty that are nib up in my little desk carrier thing, which is not my favorite way to do it. But
Yeah,
it's more
nib up's
practical.
probably my least favorite way to do it, but
It's generally my least favorite too, but it's often the most practical for on a desk.
it's easy to put your pen, barrel side down in a holder rather than clip side down.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But anyway, cool. Thanks, Drew. Good tip. All right, next we're going to have a spotlight, the Kaweco Liliput. Yeah. All right, Kaweco Liliput. Drew, what are we going to say about this pen? We have no bullets. We're just going to riff.
Okay. Well,
Do you like this pen?
I love this pen.
You do?
I
Okay.
love this pen.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
we talked earlier about things that you think are really good, but you don't want one or you don't.
Does this fall into that category
This
for
is
you?
one of those. Like I have never thought about buying one, and but I really do love everything about it.
You picked the fire blue too. That's,
So,
that's a cool one. That's a cool one.
I wanted to pick the fire blue because we have this neighbor who you might recognize.
This I've mentioned this one in the Pencast before. That's my fire blue that I washed in the washing machine and ran through my dryer. So I don't know whether it was the washing machine or the dryer that did that to this pen, but you can see it's lost a little bit of its luster.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's also happened just over time. It's possible. But I think most of that was just me running it through the clothing, whatever, wash cycle.
Yes. This is the Kaweco.
Took away
Fire
a
blue.
lot of its will to live.
Yeah, this one here on the top, obviously, is it in its
And it looked like
its natural state.
It looked like that at one time. I think I did it after like a week too. Like it was right away.
See, I pulled this one from your office, and I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. This is probably not the one that he washed. And then I pulled this one off the shelf. I'm like, oh my god,
You're like, oh,
this is beautiful.
So much nicer looking.
This is stunning.
Yeah.
But they're both really cool pens. They come in a variety of different types. So this is the fire blue.
It's a teeny little thing.
Yeah, it is a very teeny thing. I mean, I have pretty small-ish hands. And
I wouldn't say you have small hands.
well, I guess regular. I have not huge
of
hands.
all hands, I would say your hands are on the bigger side.
Of all hands?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe of all hands ever.
Yeah, I mean,
But it is a smaller pen, and you could definitely call this a pocket pen for sure.
oh yeah.
Un
I don't know what you would call a
Right.
pocket pen
If
if you
this
didn't
is-
call this a pocket pen.
If this isn't a pocket pen, nothing is. When you uncap it, you are left with nothing. Like you can't even rest this anywhere. It falls right through your grip. So you really do have to
you gotta
post it.
You gotta post it.
Which is it's a thread to post pen, and then it becomes more or less a full size pen.
yeah,
The diameter
comfortable.
is really
it's pretty thin.
narrow. So
It's about
yeah.
like it's about like the CP1,
right.
which you're a little more of a fan of.
Yeah,
in terms
and
of its use.
well, I think that you just need a pen like this. You need a thin pen just for some purposes, depending on where you're going. If you're traveling or you want something you can quickly fit in the spiral of a notebook or something like that.
It's pretty handy as a pocket pen. I will
Also,
say
I'm
that.
just gonna let y'all listen to this.
Yeah, some
Listen to that.
some metal threads they like squeak and all this kind
This
of
one
stuff.
sings.
But if you notice, the threads are not sharp; they're squared off. So whenever you have metal pens that have squared off threads, you're gonna get a much more pleasurable threading experience. In my view.
squeaky.
Okay, it can. It's still metal
Yeah.
on metal, but so this Lilliput, this is the fire blue. This is actually steel, so it's actually a little heavier than most of the other Lilliputs. The copper one's pretty heavy too, but some of them are aluminum as well, which the aluminum ones are very, very light. Those are really good pocket pens.
It's so small though. Like the weight is, I think, really comfortable. If this were a
It's
larger
like
pen,
hardly noticeable.
like the steel Supra, which you could say is kind of a larger.
Did grab.
Oh, there you go.
So I did grab it just so we can show it by comparison.
Great. No, that's great. I didn't even know I was going to mention this,
There you
but
go.
the
So that's
steel
the Fire Blue
Supra.
Supra, and it's like hard to fit in the frame here because it's bodacious compared to the Lilliput.
Yeah, but that steel is heavy. This I think
Yeah.
is well balanced just because of the size. It's very, very tiny, so the steel doesn't create a ton of extra weight.
It's standard international cartridges.
Cartridge only.
It will
Yeah.
not- yeah, I mean you can fit the Kaweco mini converter in here, but it doesn't hold that much ink.
Yeah, that mini
So
converter.
it's like, okay.
you'd probably be better refilling a
Refilling
cartridge.
cartridges, yeah. And you can't really eyedropper this one either. So you really pretty much need to stick to cartridges. But it's standard international. There's a lot of different options there. It's not like some proprietary cartridge that you are super limited. So I still feel like that's pretty practical.
Yeah. So
I will say, as a pocket pen, when you have that thing in your pocket, you will notice it so little that you might leave it in your pocket when you do laundry, which is exactly what I did. But it's very comfortable as a carry-around pen in your pocket because it's not so long that it'll like protrude and stick into your leg when you're sitting down and that kind of stuff like most pocket pens could. But there's also not really a clip. I'm trying to remember.
There's not a clip at all.
There's not a clip option for the Lilliput, is there?
I want to say they've made one at some point, maybe not in the U.S.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know.
We definitely don't have
It'd be kind of weird.
But yeah, we definitely don't have it.
It's cool.
But I definitely think that there's a lot of value here. And do we still have the green one, or is that gone? Could you check for a second?
It's a special edition. I will look up Lilliput.
Because one of the things that I was most happy about was that they did come out with an aluminum version of this, which was way more affordable than the rest. And it looks like it's gone. No, it's still there.
It's out of stock.
Okay.
I think we got it and had it for like 0 minutes.
Yeah. So I hope that they come out with more of these, or that we get a restock on this. I don't know right now, but it was only $60, and the other ones,
sharp looking green.
The other ones are over 100 each. So I think that the copper for 110 is a pretty darn good value.
It's a cool pen. Yeah.
And it's going to have that weight. It's going to have that really nice patina.
It might make your fingers a little smelly.
It might, yeah. We did talk about that.
But it's going to patina too, because I don't know how coated the copper Lilliput is. I think it will patina.
Yeah, which I think looks really cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. But the aluminum one, though, it felt way lighter. And for a small pen, something that light feels like you're not writing with anything. Even though that was a thing, at $60 for a pen well made in that range, I really love it. And I feel
we should keep hyping up the pen that we don't have.
I know. I'm kicking myself because I should have got one. But either way, the form factor is really solid, and I do think that the heavier, more resilient material is worth the extra dollars.
The overall weight on that pen was 9 grams.
It was a nothing pen.
That's like the lightest pen I think.
It was like all nib. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very light. The steel one is quite a bit heavier.
But honestly, if I were to buy a Kaweco, it would be a really tough decision between the Supra or the Lilliput right now.
Oh, the Supra's got the fiddle factor, though.
It does.
The fidget factor.
It does, but I think that I would find...
23 grams. That's what the Fire Blue is.
This one?
Yeah, Lilliput.
That's a lot more than...
23 grams versus
more
9. That's how much of a difference the material makes on that pen.
But this one, I feel like with this one, it's going to get more use just because of how different it is from the rest of my collection.
You think so?
And I think that if someone were to buy this, that's where the use would come from. It would be like, I am wearing, a suit or some sort of, outfit that's not conducive to large pens. Have you ever gone to like a wedding or something? And you're like, you park and you're like, do I need to carry my giant clump of keys? Or can I just like detach my car key and be fine there?
I hate clumps of keys.
Right. So that's what I do.
I have like 4 clumps, and I will choose my clumps based on where I'm going and what I'm doing.
But like sometimes
I will so many keys. Like I would fill my cargo pockets with key clumps.
Oh, they'd hear you coming from a mile away.
Yeah, and it like gets to the point where it like pulls my pants down. Like I got to cinch up the belt because I have so many keys.
Belt and suspenders.
You get vehicles and you get fobs and all this other mess too, and it's just like, come on. I have a lot of keys.
Well, if you had fewer sheds, you would probably need fewer keys.
That's not helping. Not helping.
So anyway, I like it because like in the same situation where you'd say, let me just detach the car key only so I don't have a clump, something like this is like, this is subtle enough for me to carry a fountain pen with me in a circumstance where maybe a fountain pen would not be the most, space friendly choice. So
there you go.
I think it's a good thing to have in your collection.
There you go. There's a Lilliput. You can go check it out. We have a couple of variations of it, and it's a neat little pen. All right, moving on to the nonsense portion. Let's talk about what's happening. Drew, did you go fishing last week? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Well,
don't you not like... No, I can't say you don't like the outdoors. That's not accurate.
No, I like.
You don't like the sun.
Yeah.
You don't like the sun touching your skin.
That is it. That is okay. It. I do love the outdoors.
So were you like long sleeves? fishing?
It was actually after work, and
Okay.
it was the temperature was perfect. It was actually like a hoodie day.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really really nice.
Yeah.
My
Was this
son.
last week? I was out of town.
This was last week. Yeah, it was
Okay.
last Wednesday.
It was cold. I was in Detroit, and it was like 40 degrees. Like, it was cold. I had a jacket.
Yikes! Yeah, no, it was chilly-ish here, but not too bad. But my son, 8 years old, just said to me, "I want to go fishing." I was like, "Okay."
What a like father, son, whatever
Well,
moment there.
father, uncle. So I called my brother. I was like,
Okay.
"Chad, Archer wants to go fishing." He's like,
Yeah,
and he said Wednesday.
That's it?
Yeah, Wednesday. Innsbruck. I was like,
Ready.
okay, because I knew that's all I need to do. He's a fishing fan.
Okay.
We both grew up fishing. Like my grandfather had a boat. He'd take us out, and he had a little at the time it was a trailer, but now it's a fabricated home out on the river. A little ways from here. But fishing was a big part of my childhood. Never really liked it. But it was a part of it.
Is it yet another thing that you're like, I wish I liked this thing. I see why people like it.
Yeah.
But I just don't like it.
I don't have the patience for it. There's not enough payoff. It's like that and board games, tabletop games, card games. I'm like,
really?
I
You don't
can't.
like board games?
I cannot focus on it.
That surprises me.
Nothing. If there's a prolonged period where nothing is happening,
Drew, you're nerd points.
I know.
You're just
I can't do it.
really...
I can't. I'm like, I don't like waiting for other people's turns. I can't do it.
Okay, that I can see.
And with
That I can see.
fishing, I'm like, oh god.
That's when you harass the other people in the board game.
I don't have time for
and
that.
you
I
make
just get
fun of
I just get
them
sleepy.
and
I
you
get
try to mess with their head.
fidgety. I'm like,
Okay.
just tapping things, and
I have like solved Rubik's cubes while I'm playing board games before, while I'm waiting for other people's turns.
I don't want to solve
To,
Rubik's
like,
cubes
occupy
either.
it.
None of that sounds. Oh god. Anyway,
That does take
so we
patience.
went fishing. My brother brought some poles. Archer did that for the first time.
What kind of fishing? Like,
Just those offices over at Innsbruck and Knuckles, like that have the ponds everywhere. We just went over there. Apparently, there's some fish in there.
you can fish there?
Yeah.
It's like a parking lot runoff pond in like an office park, right?
There's lots of ponds. There's like,
Oh, really?
yeah, and there's like trails around them and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's. Pretty,
did not know
pretty
that.
Legit. Yeah, not a runoff. They're bigger than a runoff pond.
Because sometimes I see fish at like, if you go to like
if you drive down,
a strip mall where there's like restaurants and stuff, and you look in there and you're like, there's massive fish in there because everybody's like feeding them bread and popcorn
right? No,
and all
nothing
kinds
like
of
that.
stuff.
But if you go down Cox Road over where that Silver Diner is, and keep going down there, you'll sometimes see people on paddle boards out there.
Really?
Yeah, no joke. I'm like, what the heck? You'd
Wow.
think like at an office park that thing wouldn't be allowed, but yeah, they allow all sorts of stuff there.
All right.
His casting first try was perfect.
Really?
Yeah, he just nailed it. So he was
like in his
casting like a
blood.
champ.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, dude. Didn't catch anything. He was a little bothered by that, but it was a
well.
good time, and it was his first little fishing trip. So
Okay.
worth note, I thought.
Okay.
And also worth note in Richmond here in Virginia, there has been an event called Arts in the Park that has happened, every year without fail for a number of years since I've been aware of it anyway. And obviously in 2020 and 2021, they did not have it because of COVID, and they just came back this year. So we were excited to go there. My wife Shannon was immensely excited. So we got to go do that on
Don't you get
Saturday.
a coffee mug there? Isn't that where you get your coffee
Every
mug?
year I buy a coffee mug. Every year for the last 8 years I've bought a coffee
Wow.
mug there, a ceramic, handmade.
Like
'cause
a legit.
yeah, it's a craft fair, but it's like artists, painters, ceramic artists, things like that.
Makes sense.
Metal workers, and I always buy a ceramic mug. So I got to do that again. So very happy
cool.
about that. I actually saw another one. I bought my mug, saw another mug, and I really wanted that one, but it was kind of expensive. And I'm like, I already bought another mug. I cannot justify the price of two mugs.
Mug envy.
It was a skull, and it was kind of like it was a stylized skull, but yeah, it was the skull with like multiple faces all around the sides. And oh my God, it looked so cool. It actually was like, there was real gold worked into the what do you call it? The stuff that they use on clay, to
Sizing?
no, oh my God, the
Stuff on clay.
the varnish polish glaze. Oh my God, the glaze. Varnish. Real gold worked into the glaze, so it
Similar.
was black but with this like gold highlight. Oh my God, it looks so cool.
Okay.
But anyway, didn't get it.
Okay.
Shannon went back the next day with another one of her friends, got me the mug. I almost texted her because I thought she might. I was like, hey, don't get that mug. It's too expensive. Don't do it. She comes back. She's like, it doesn't count if someone gets it for you. Acting like that we don't share money. Like, Okay, thank you. That's fine.
Like it's like Father's Day in somewhere in
maybe,
the vein, you know.
Not yet. I haven't bought her anything from Archer for Mother's Day yet. But anyway, so I got some stuff.
better get
Arts in
on
the Park
that.
was great. And I did something that you might have done. I don't know, because you have
What
a
have I
son that's
done?
super into Legos. Have you ever
Yes.
needed to order a single Lego part?
Joseph literally just ordered a Lego thing.
Right. So I got
I'll get into
that
that.
big honking DeLorean set, the Back to the
Okay.
Future DeLorean thing.
Okay.
And the windshield totally jacked up.
Oh, and that's like
yeah,
a very specialized
you know
piece.
when clear plastic gets like bent or squished or dented, it turns like white opaque.
Yeah.
That happened on one of the sides, and the box was fine. So this must have
Is it, like,
happened
new in the
somewhere
packaging?
brand new. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this must have happened in manufacturing somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
happens.
so I ordered it. I'm like, normally you can select a part, like a specific part, but this one wasn't listed, so I just had to kind of type it in. Yeah, I have this set. I need this.
Wow.
Shipped it the next day. Arrived in like 3 days, no charge.
From where was this? Like
From Lego.
Oh, so so it's like a warranty type thing?
I guess,
that they
yeah,
did?
but I didn't need to prove any receipt or anything. I tell you,
Lego's awesome.
it had a letter saying like, "Hey, we try really hard. We're so sorry this happened." Like the amount of people who lose pieces and have to ask them, and they still go do this. Like that's insane, man.
Yeah.
Lego has got it together.
Yeah.
That is super impressive.
Legit.
Like from a customer service standpoint, I'm like,
You're like, that's cool.
well done, Lego. I was amazed by that.
That's pretty rad.
But and the puppy's doing fine, still peeing on everything. We're definitely
Okay.
having a harder time housebreaking the puppy than
Yeah.
our 2 previous puppies. It is a chore. Like
I'm sorry.
every 15 minutes.
Wow,
We
really?
pulled up all of our rugs. We have no rugs anymore. They're all rolled up in the
Yeah.
storage room.
I mean, there's no point.
No.
Otherwise, you're just gonna be cleaning off the
Absolutely.
rugs all
Yeah,
day.
no.
You know?
So we're trying everything. You know, we've
Okay.
got some strategies we're working through.
Okay.
But we're reminded why puppies are cute because
Yes. Because no one would want them otherwise because they're a pain.
my God.
Wow.
Terrible. But
Okay.
yeah, all in all,
Thanks a lot.
things are good.
A lot of people at Goulet Pens have gotten pets recently for one reason or another. I feel like I'm hearing a lot about that.
Yeah,
So yeah, lots of people with puppies, cats,
I've noticed that as well.
mostly just those. We got our hamster.
Hamster's not a year yet, so I mean it's
Not
kind
at all.
of newish.
That'll live you a couple months now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still counts.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, Brian Goulet?
I was trying not to like interject and jump into your stuff.
Go right
I
ahead.
have many things to say. Not
Snatch
really.
blocks,
I
chainsaws.
used some snatch blocks this weekend. Yeah, I used chainsaws. Yep, did that. Used leaf blower, lawnmower, log splitter. I've used all kinds of things. Wood chipper. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm really going at it. We have a lot of pine trees, very old, tall, dying pine trees. And I'm like, I can either let them fall where they may, which could be on my car down the driveway as I'm driving, or I could take it down before it falls on its own because it's dying anyway. So that's what I'm doing, taking it down. But I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there's that tree. And then you get it on the ground and you're like, oh my gosh, this tree is massive. And you're like, this is really, really heavy. Like trees are kind of incredible.
I've done that with smaller trees.
Yeah.
Like I've over maybe 15 feet.
Okay.
Nothing massive, but
Yeah.
even then, like it doesn't look like a lot.
Right.
And even when it falls, it doesn't look like a lot. But then
Right.
you cut it up,
Yes.
and then you're left with like a pile that sometimes is 5 times the size of the thing you felled.
You're like, this thing multiplied as I
Right.
was cutting it up. Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do with this? I thought that this
Yeah.
when you cut things up, it's supposed to be smaller and more manageable, and it doesn't look like that at all.
no.
Especially with all the
Somehow
branches and everything, it
multiplies.
just like inflates.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Ugh.
Especially like when you have really tall trees. Like some of these trees I'm cutting down are like 70, 80, 100 feet tall. They're big, like 18, 20 inches in diameter at the base of the tree. It's a pretty sizable tree. Like when it hits the ground, it shakes. Like Rachel can feel it in the house. It shakes the ground.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how a 100-foot tall pine tree probably weighs 10,000 pounds or something like that. So when it's falling and it like slams into the ground, it's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty cool experience. Also terrifying because you're like, if this falls on me, I will die. So you have to be very intentional about it. But I'm very safe. Don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. But I actually got a buddy of mine that Him and I are both like wannabe arborists.
And this is the
so
one
we
that
like
has
to do it
the
together.
climbing gear, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. He came over this weekend, so I got to spend some time with him. We got
Nice.
to cut up a couple of trees.
But
together. It
you've
was kinda
stated
fun.
before that you are not a tree climber.
No, I don't leave. My feet don't leave the ground.
Right. You've mentioned that.
I don't have a climber's body.
That's what you said last time.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I bet you that the equipment, like people who climb trees and chop down these things like professionally, competitively, are larger than you.
I don't think so.
Oh, come on. You've seen videos of these dudes that
The ones climbing trees, they're not.
No, they
they're
do
not 200.
No. They do the thing where they chop the notches into the
Okay,
wood.
yeah,
They're
that.
huge.
Yeah, I could do that. I could chop, but I can't climb.
Okay, so this is like
Because you gotta lift your own body weight. Like you're so if you're really heavy, you're lifting all of that up into the trees.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So I was picturing some sort of like deer stand-esque like crimping device that got you up there.
Well, think about it. When you're climbing a tree, the tree has limbs on it, so you can't just
You're right.
throw a
Yeah.
rope around it.
Well, I
Like
didn't even think about that.
yeah.
So
you're like,
does he have like ninja claws? He's like,
no. There's a couple different ways you can do it. We're getting so nerdy into tree stuff.
I'm curious.
It is absolutely fascinating. And if you're a gear junkie, there's so much
all right,
cool
give me the
tree gear.
TLDR. Like what does he have on his hands and legs?
Okay, so basically there's two ways you can climb a tree. And again, I don't climb trees, so I know the process, but I have not done it. You can do what you're talking about, which is literally just like you are like kind of like when you're rock climbing, like you have your ropes and stuff and you climb and you like kind of latch in as you go.
Right.
You can also shoot a line up into a tree. You can tie the rope off at the top of the tree.
What do you mean
and
shoot
then
a
you can
line like a
scale it.
grappling gun? Like Batman?
Sort of. So they make air-powered like cannons that you can
What?
shoot. Yeah. So you have this thing called a throw bag. So it's like a little 10 to 16 ounce bag that's got a really thin, like strong line.
Yeah,
to
you use
it.
those for like safety, boat safety.
Yeah. So you can either throw it up into the tree, which is extremely hard to do. You can use a giant like slingshot type thing, which is what I have, which is awesome. Or he like my friend built basically like an air powered like
Like a
thing
potato
that he
gun?
fills, sort of like that, but it's not. It uses just air pressure. So he like pumps it up with a bike tire and then shoots the throw bag up into the tree, and then that throw bag goes over a limb or whatever. And you got this really thin line. This is all on YouTube, by the way. Just go YouTube like tree climbing or whatever, and there's all kinds of cool videos. But you have the little thin line.
So what did he use this weekend?
We didn't climb anything. So I just had some dead trees I needed to take down.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So the only time you really need to climb trees is if you're like pruning limbs and you want to save the tree, like you're not trying to take the whole tree down,
Right.
obviously. Or if you're like near a house or near something where you don't want to risk smashing a tree onto it, then you need to go up and like take it down like limb by limb.
Right.
And then you actually like tie a rope to each limb you bring down. And it's like very time consuming. But this was like, okay, this tree is dead. All of its branches have fallen off. It's just like a giant dead toothpick sticking out of the ground. Like I just needed to cut it, let it fall on the ground, and then chop it up into pieces. Like that's what I was doing this weekend. And then I found one thing. I got a really cool video. I don't know if I want to show it because it's gross, because it's nature and it's bugs. So I don't know if people are sensitive to bugs, but basically I had this tree that was kind of dead. So I cut it down, and like when you cut down a tree, you know, you leave a bit of a stump because you want it to be at like a comfortable working height. You don't try and cut it on the ground.
Right.
So like I was left with the stump, and the tree was like, okay, it was pretty dead. Like I knew it was dead. So I went to cut the stump, and when I flopped the stump over, like when I cut it flush on the ground, there was an entire nest of ants inside this stump. This was a standing tree, but the whole thing was dead and rotting out. And I'm talking thousands of ants started swarming out of this stump as soon as I cut it down. And I got on my phone and I took a video of it because I was like, this is cool and disgusting.
I mean, there's nothing you wouldn't see on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the video of it. We can decide if we want to put it up in the video here. I didn't even know if I was going to talk about it, but it was kind of cool. So
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted to
ants are
mention
way
it.
less gross than like snakes or something. Like
Oh yeah, that I
definitely if you
I
put
wouldn't even tell Rachel if that
Oh no,
ever
no, no, no.
happened.
We wouldn't.
She hates
no.
snakes.
But like I've seen stuff on Discovery Channel with like, you know, bugs and stuff. And then
Oh yeah,
but then you get
some people like really hate ants and like weirds them out. So
Oh,
little
yeah.
ant warning there
Okay.
if you're not into it. But anyway,
All right.
So skip that portion of it. I don't know at what point we would put the video or if we even will, but whatever. I took a video of it and it was pretty cool. But anyway, that's pretty dramatic. I have not had that happen very much, but I did that and I was like,
That's fascinating.
Nature. Okay, there it is.
Nature.
So that was cool. I traveled last week, so I was gone. We had to record the Pencast early.
That's right. You went to RoboCop country.
I did, apparently. Yeah. It was so classic you, Drew. Like, So I went with Sam and Jen. So that's our director of ops and our director of HR. Went out there to a conference for it's called Small Giants. So it's an organization. It's based off the book by Bo Burlingham.
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
Yeah. And we were listed as a Small Giants, like top 25 company a couple years ago. And they have a summit every year. We did it virtually last year because COVID. So this was the first in-person one that we ever went to, which was cool and weird because it's still kind of COVID life. And I wore a mask a lot of time because I still know people in my life who are getting sick and all this kind of stuff. It's not happening anymore, but we are like, okay, we do need to live a life of some point. And there's good content to be had at this conference. So overall, great trip. I'd never been to Detroit. I have never seen Canada with my eyes. And literally Canada is like across the river from Detroit. So I got to see Canada. So that was neat. That's my like family's homeland, I guess, but I've never been. Anyway, so saw Canada, went to Detroit, ate some classic Detroit food. Apparently, they have something called a loose hamburger, which is sort of like a sloppy Joe, but just like ground meat. It's not like the Joe parts, just the sloppy. So, but it was like on a hot dog bun. Basically, it just seemed pretty lazy. It's like, I don't really feel like pressing a hamburger into a patty, and I don't really have any hot hamburger buns. Let me just throw it on a hot dog. I was like, this is totally something like I might make my kids. So that was interesting. Lots of like chili dogs and pizza and that type of stuff. And I was like,
that all sounds good.
Okay.
I'm very anti sloppy Joe.
Really?
Oh God.
No, my kids are not into the sloppy Joe either.
No.
I wish they were because it's so easy to make.
I don't mind the flavor. I just don't like the maintenance.
You don't like the sloppiness of it?
No. Why would what's the point of that? You could just pack that thing a little bit more together and have a great time. Okay. It's basically
Fair
like
enough.
just oh man.
There you go. So I ate at a I don't know. I was in like the heart of Detroit, so it was like there was sports stadiums happening, and I was like, this is crazy because there's no professional sports teams in Virginia. Like we have like a minor league baseball team and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, to have like multiple sports arenas there, it's just like, this is weird.
It makes me think of RoboCop and Beverly Hills Cop because Axel Foley was originally from Detroit, and
there you go.
He wore the Detroit Lions jacket in the second and the third one.
I was like the Lions Stadium was like right where I was staying pretty much. And then I had some really good pizza, Detroit style pizza. I'm a fan. It's deep dish
better
style, like
than Italy.
It's very different.
Very different.
You can't compare
it.
It's not the same thing.
It's not. No, it's not even the same type of food.
Yeah, but it was really good pizza. So yeah, I ate well. I ate a lot while I was in Detroit, and then I had an ice cream. I can't remember the type of ice cream that it was. I don't think it's necessarily specific to Detroit. Whatever, but it was cool. So I had some very fancy ice cream as well. But yeah, the conference itself is really good. So it's like very company culture related. Basically the whole idea with Small Giants, if you've never read the book, is basically you think of, larger companies being very focused on culture and investing a lot and having perks for their employees and that type of thing. But the whole idea with Small Giants is like some smaller companies, they don't want to grow fast or grow really big, but they still want to have really intentional culture, a great environment for their team, really close-knit, that kind of thing. And that very much fits with the vibe that we just naturally had. So once we discovered that book a few years ago, it was like, oh, this sounds like us. So we've been keeping, in touch with this group and done a couple things with them. This is my first in-person thing with them. And I found a lot of good validation. And, it was like typical kind of conference. There were speakers and breakout sessions and networking and that type of stuff. So it was pretty neat.
Did anyone mention RoboCop?
No one mentioned RoboCop except you. Apparently, RoboCop takes place in Detroit.
Everybody knows
right?
that.
I've never seen RoboCop, by the way, any of them. There's multiple, right?
Yes, there's 3.
Okay, I've never seen it.
Well, 4 if you count the remake, but we don't.
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
I haven't seen it.
You don't
so
count.
I can't.
You don't count ones in the franchise if you don't like it.
Well, I mean, I've never seen. I haven't seen the remake, but no. Generally, with remakes, you don't call those like that. You wouldn't call that RoboCop 4 because it's not a continuation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a continuation of the story. Like,
okay,
you wouldn't call.
What do you do with that? Like, it's
just a remake.
Okay,
it's like the Ghostbusters. Remake of 2016. That's just Ghostbusters 2016. But yes,
okay.
But if you wanted to call, the most recent one Ghostbusters 3, you could if you wanted to because it's in that same timeline.
Did they call it Ghostbusters?
No, they didn't.
3 though.
They didn't.
Okay.
But it's in the same timeline. It's like
I guess you don't have
it's a
to.
continuation of the existing story.
Okay.
The RoboCop remake was not a continuation of the existing story.
Okay. I don't know how any of this works.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Like if you remade Fast and Furious, Brian, going back to that for you, you wouldn't call
Fast and Furious is a hot mess when you talk about the naming.
It's still one continuous story though, isn't it?
Not all of them. No.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like the second one is not really that continuous. And
Do they have
the
any-
third one is completely different. There's like nobody in the cast from any of the first two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it gets pretty weird. And then they kind of come back to it.
Oh.
But they called the fourth one, like they called it, I think it was Fast and Furious, not The Fast and the Furious like the first one was.
Yeah.
It gets really confusing.
okay,
I can't
well-
even keep it straight.
All right. Well, I don't know.
I don't even know what's vertical and what's horizontal. So I can't keep all those movie titles straight. But anyway, so yeah, that was really cool to go to that conference. But it was quick, man. It was like I flew out midday on Tuesday and I came back Thursday night. It was like,
Oh my God.
lickety split there and back. I mean, it's a direct flight from Richmond. It was like an hour and a half flight. So it's like pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But yeah, it was cool. It's cool to see people and do things again. And then Saturday, I had my birthday, obviously, which we already talked about. Kept it low key, saw a little bit of family, did a lot of work outside. It was gorgeous this past weekend. Like the weather was perfect. So I basically spent like all weekend outdoors. I mean,
really
it's
was.
pollen like a friggin' champion. But
Dude, I have the worst allergies in my life this year.
yeah, everybody's struggling around here. Richmond is like the worst place for
Last
allergies.
week while you were gone, I had to tell Rachel 2 days in a row, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm done. My body is just rejecting life right now. I need to go. I mean,
all of our team is legitimately having a hard time getting a full workday in
my
because
God.
everybody is like dying.
I
by the
told
end
you,
of the day.
normally when I'm leaving the building, I eject myself down the stairs.
Yeah.
I didn't do that last week. I'm like
Whoa.
one step at a time.
Whoa.
Like something's wrong.
I don't know. It could be age too.
No,
You're
because
losing your luster.
No, yesterday I went home. I was like, hey, Shannon, I'm feeling better. She's like, oh, really? I was like, yep. I bounded.
I
I bounded to my car. Like, if anybody's watching me leave here, they probably think I hate my job because of how.
Like I'm so glad to get out of here.
Yeah, because I'm like, just like, I'm like, I hope no one's watching me. I don't care. Whatever.
But they also don't realize you're also doing that into the
Or
office.
they might just be like, that guy's a really happy dude, and they'd be right about that.
They would be right about that.
But I also like my job, so they're wrong about that.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I did a lot of things. I did a little welding. I ran a little electrical. I just did all kinds of random stuff. I just love doing stuff.
Did you get anything for your birthday? Did anybody give you a nifty gifty?
Did
you get yourself a nifty gifty?
I didn't give myself anything. I buy myself things all the time, so I don't feel like I need to do it on special days. My mom gave me some chocolate.
There you go. You like chocolate?
I love chocolate. So yeah, that was it. I don't know. I'm not, to me, like everybody's like, oh, what are you doing for your birthday? I'm like, oh no, whatever. It's like, to me, it's like,
Yeah.
like it's cool. Yeah, okay, it's my birthday, but I'm definitely not like, and I'm not anti-birthday either. It's just never been that big of a deal for me personally. I totally get it for other people, like celebrate, yay, but I'm just like, I just don't like need that. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I was this year. We went out to eat with my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But originally I told Shannon, I'm like, no, we can just go me, you, and Archer. But she was like, no. She got my brothers together. She thought she was, but the whole reason I didn't want to is because I went to this Cajun place downtown, and I know that their seating sucks. They have one table that can fit 6 people. So I'm like, let's just go the 3 of us because otherwise it's a nightmare to wait.
Oh, yeah.
But she wanted to be nice, so she invited my brothers on secret.
Okay.
So we got there, and I'm like, hey guys, oh, this is so cool. But in my mind, I'm like, dang it, if that one table isn't available, and it wasn't,
you're gonna be
we
waiting.
waited an hour.
That's
And I'm like happy, but I'm also just like, I just want to eat. It's my birthday. I just want to eat. So it was nice to see them, but I see them enough. They're fine.
yeah, that's the thing. Like my family all lives in town too, so it's like
Yeah.
it's cool to see them on my birthday, but it's like I would probably be seeing them on a weekend anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like that's cool. Like we'll do something together. Like I don't know, we got like Red Robin takeout or something. I think I got a salad. Rachel was like, "Aren't you gonna get anything?" I was like, "I just ate horribly on this trip. I ate like cheeseburgers and pizza and stuff like that." I was like, I kind of just want a salad. So I didn't even do anything crazy, but good time with the family and all that kind of stuff. We did get
I just realized the Supra is like the same size
it's like
as
the
the Lilliput.
Yeah, if you take out the midsection. Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising. I knew it was small, but not that small.
Yeah.
Look at
That's
that.
right. I think it'd be cool if they had like a Lilliput midsection that you could make it longer, just like if you could fit a full size converter in the Lilliput, that would be cool.
Okay,
but that's
sorry.
not a thing.
What were you saying?
I don't know. I'm just going on at this point. Worked outside.
Birthday salad.
Birthday salad. Yeah.
All right.
And then we did get so a couple things that you alluded to earlier that I wanted to bring up. The Lego thing, you mentioned the ordering the thing. So Joseph ordered a Lego minifigure that he wanted.
Oh, okay.
But it was like some obscure thing. I guess he found it in a book or whatever. I don't know. He just liked the look of it. But it was like some special edition they only had available for like 1 week 10 years ago. And they're like $400 to get that minifigure. It's some Darth Vader version, something or other. I don't know. So he bought like a knockoff version of it for $10 or something.
We bought our just some knockoffs at the Comic-Con we went to. There were people just selling a bunch of them like, oh my God, it's a Mega Man Lego. I'm like, yeah, that's not real.
You're like, that's not Lego.
But that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, he bought a brick figure and he's so happy. And then we also we had a Nintendo Wii back in the day, and we did like Wii Sports a bunch. And we actually still have a Wii, and my kids like it, which I don't because it's a pain to set it up. But whatever, it's fine. It's fun. And so we got I guess they like redid it. They have a Nintendo Switch Sports.
I heard about that, yeah.
So we got it in, but we haven't played it yet. So we'll play it at some point, but maybe I'll talk about it next week once we've actually played it.
Nice.
But family's pretty excited about that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I keep cutting trees down, so I'm like, they want to play it, and I get in, and it's like bedtime for the kids. I'm like, whoops. Oh well. Sorry, I was cutting trees down. I like cut a tree down, and then it falls across the driveway, and I'm like, well, crap. I have to finish this now because we can't bring the kids to school in the morning.
Did you intend for it to fall across the driveway?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then I realized once I actually cut it down, I'm like, oh, I'm very committed now at this point. I need to get this out of the driveway.
I'm literally trapped in my
I've trapped my
property
family
now.
and I have to stay and do this, but it's fine. They play video games all the time. They're fine to not do it at a certain night. Anyway, that's all we got. So moving on to company updates. I don't really have a whole lot. Our team is doing well. It's getting warm, lots of pollen. We've already mentioned these things. We do have a video that we put out this week on waterproof inks. I think we alluded to this last week, and we're like,
we did, but then I think I cut it because we didn't.
Oh, because we didn't do it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe we don't have to, whatever.
I think it got cut, so maybe we didn't mention it last week.
Well, if we did mention it, now it has launched. So go check that out and let Drew know what you think about his bracketing regimen.
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect. Never is. So yeah, we have that, and then I don't know, not a whole lot else going on the company front. Can you think of anything? We're just kind of doing our thing.
Trevor and Brandon have been playing a lot of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the arcade machine.
Oh, that's pretty important.
So there has been been that
getting some love on the arcade machine.
Apparently,
that's pretty rad.
Apparently, Trevor's just a Mike Tyson Punch-Out guy. He doesn't play any other video games, but that.
That's it. That's
the
one.
But he can kill on some Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Okay.
I think he's a bit of a ringer. He's like, oh, I don't know video games. Boop, 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 boop. And I was like, what? I was like, I see you.
All right.
But I'm just glad the arcade machine's getting used.
I'm kind of like you. I don't have any video games that I would consider myself good at.
I'm garbage.
I just like play for my own entertainment.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. All right. I think that's pretty much all we got, Drew. I don't know. I think we've done enough. So that's what we got for this week. I want to thank you all for watching. Please leave us some feedback about how we're doing. Ask us questions. Anything that we can answer on the show. We'd really appreciate that. Definitely check out gouletpens.com for fountain pen, ink, paper, all that stuff. Wax seals, desk blotters, all these things you've heard us talk about. Maybe not desk blotters because Drew doesn't like them. Sign up for YouTube, Instagram, all these things. We're playing a little bit on TikTok too. Go mess around on that. You can email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if you're on the audio podcast thing and you don't want to go to any of these other channels and look at comments. That's fine too. You can email us. And my random fact, it's actually a video game fact. Drew,
Ooh.
I've shared this one with you before, so it won't be a surprise.
I probably forgot.
So in 1972, Nolan Bushnell started the gaming company Atari, which is part of where Steve Jobs got his start, but that's a side fact. Atari gave us the classic arcade game Pong. Well, Bushnell was only there for 4 years, and the following year after he left, he started Chuck E. Cheese, the restaurant franchise, which has lots of games in it. I don't know if that's international. Maybe that's just a U.S. thing. But basically you get usually pretty low rent food, pizza, chicken tenders, that type of stuff. And they have all kinds of arcade games and video games and things like that. So kids friggin' love it, and adults think it's fine.
At best.
Yeah. But
At most adults hate it and
yeah.
don't even set foot in there.
But there is apparently one game in the Chuck E. Cheese that's called Pong that is basically, it's called Ping, which is like a knockoff version of Pong because, even though he started Atari, he couldn't like use the licensed version. So he created his own knockoff. I just think that's really entertaining.
Nice.
So yeah. I don't know are they still a thing? Chuck E. Cheese, are they like still around?
There's one near me.
Okay. I mean,
obviously
yeah.
we haven't we've taken Archer there a few times, definitely not since the pandemic for sure.
I took my kids there a couple of times and they enjoyed it.
I tell you, it's a lot more clean than it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids, there was that disgusting ball pit and
I feel like everything was grosser back then.
Yes,
though.
absolutely.
Just in general.
Absolutely it was. Yeah. Everything was sticky when we were a kid. Even the carpet. Like if you went into an arcade in the early 90s, the carpet was
not
vile.
Good. Not good. Movie theaters.
It was like mostly gum.
Yeah.
It was like only a little bit of fabric.
Wow.
It was like just mostly gum.
Wow.
But now it's like a lot of people think Chuck E. Cheese is like just, oh God, because of the memories of the late 80s, early 90s.
Do you wonder, is that actually different though? Or just as a kid, are you just touching things that as an adult, you look at it and you're like, I'm not touching that?
I don't think so because everything is way more brightly lit nowadays. I think that everybody is a little bit more hygiene conscious.
Okay.
Things get cleaned more regularly.
I would hope so.
And I think just kids are less gross and sticky than they were in the early 90s. But so it's not that bad. I mean, they're kids. So, I mean,
they're going to be gross and sticky.
Yeah,
no
exactly. It's still gross, but it's less gross than it was when we were kids for sure.
Fair enough.
Sadly, there are like no arcade games though, like no like actual video games. When we were kids, there were actual games, like coin operated video games. Now it's all like ticketing based Dave and Buster's style stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
What are you going to do? Yeah, you're right. Now that I remember that. Because I only took my kids there a couple of times, but it was all like ticket based. And then they're getting like Tootsie Rolls and stuff. And I'm like, guys, you realize we can just go buy this like at the convenience store.
That's not, don't be one of those dads. Let them get their Chinese finger traps.
I teach my kids to be
their
practical.
Whoopee cushions.
No, I let them have fun.
Okay.
But I make sure that they know what they're paying.
It's different. They won these items.
They didn't earn nothing.
That Tootsie Roll was a prize.
Playing a game that like the light goes around and you hit a button and it gives you tickets. Oh yeah, you really earned that. You should feel great about that. Just savor that dum-dum that you got that cost me $12.
Dum-dum tastes like victory.
I guess.
Victory flavored.
That dum-dum should taste like consequence. They should know. They should know what the costs are. I don't know what that even means.
Oh, man.
Oh, anyway, here we are. We're in turkey hammock land.
Oh, yes, we are. My face hurts now.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you all. We hope you enjoyed this rendition of episode 45 of our Pencast. And I need to swallow. I was going to try and make it to the end, and I couldn't do it.
Valiant effort.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Tastes like consequences.
We'll catch you. That's right. Taste that consequence. Right on.